This one is fresh off the press. I got together last night with Encounters Down Under, Angus and Alex, to sit down and discuss the UAP hearings. We went live through Encounters Down Under. I really enjoy those. I'll talk about that in a second. However, I thought it was very important to sit down and discuss the hearing. I mean, it's not even in mainstream media anymore here down under. And the fact that that is the case is insane to me. It's an example of the dystopian chaos that we exist in. Have we needed to sit down and, because obviously there's been some stuff said about it since it came out, and we wanted to sit down and unpack it, the things we picked out of it, our thoughts on it. And look, we went all sides of this. Is it disinformation? Is it real? What do we think? And I think going live was very cool too, because we got a lot of interaction from the audience. So over 50% of the UTC audience is Australian. So I wanted to, specifically to my Aussie listeners, would you guys like us to go live, maybe once a fortnight, and we can choose a topic? Just leave a comment, shoot me a message if you think that's a cool idea. Because I like the profile and I like doing it, and I'd love to interact with you guys in some way. What we're also going to do for this episode, and maybe just for the next few, is I'm going to leave the song. I've got a few little intro clips that I can use to split the segments, and I'm just going to use those. We might finish with a song at the end, maybe. Or we just might finish with a little clip. I haven't decided what we're going to do on the end as I'm doing this right now. However, just changing the format up a little bit. And look, let me know if it makes a difference, or whether you care or whether you don't care. It's all good. I'm just trying a few things to evolve and streamline the show a little bit. I really enjoyed this one. Sitting down in the panel and discussing these things at length and having a bit of fun doing it was really cool. And thank you again to Anthony, Alex and Angus for their time. And remember, look up Encounters Down Under. Excellent show. Give him a like, give him a follow. And you know the drill, guys. Enjoy this one. Again, let me know in the comments if you want us to go live. I'm thinking about evolving that and doing that. That'd be pretty cool, I think. Good on you guys. Thanks very much. We'll talk soon. Cheers.
Unlocking the code.
Right, now I'd like to introduce our witnesses. Our first witness is Lieutenant Ryan Graves. He's the Executive Director of Americans for Safe Aerospace. Lieutenant Graves is also a former U.S. Navy F-18 pilot with his own UAP experience. The next witness, David Grush, is a former senior intelligence officer with the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and was a senior technical advisor for UAP issues. And finally, retired Navy Commander David Fravor, squadron leader who worked as a naval aviator for 18 years. Mr. Fravor has his own UAP experience, known as the TikTok event. I look forward to hearing from all three of you today. Pursuant to Committee Rule 9G, the witnesses will please stand and raise their right hands. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Let the record show that all the witnesses answered in the affirmative. You may be seated. We appreciate you all being here today and look forward to your testimony. I'll remind the witnesses that we have read your written statements and they will appear in full in the hearing record.
G'day folks, and welcome back to another Encounters Down Under live stream. Thanks for coming back and joining me tonight. It's been a while since I've been on the old live stream here. I hope I'm coming through good. No issues here on your end, guys. Let me know in the comments if I'm coming through okay. Yeah, I'm a little bit rusty on this. It's been a bloody while since I've actually done a live stream. So yeah, welcome back, guys. It's good to be back. Yeah, obviously I had a few issues there, health issues there. Could not get myself right, and wasn't really prepared to go and do some live streams there. And I was keen to go on back on here because so much has happened in the last few weeks, or nearly a month and a half now. We've had, as we had before, David Grush there with Ross Coulthard doing the interview there, admitting to, there's non-human biological entities and, crash retrievals and all sorts of stuff. I hope you've all seen the interview there with that. And it's just like absolutely mind-blowing what's just come through. And I just put that little bit of a segment there to go on, just to point out that, these guys have actually gone under oath and, presented their witness testimonies. So anyway, look, let's get into this. Get right into this. And I've got Triffin here and Angus. So I've got to get these guys in here. G'day, boys. How you going?
Mate, how are ya?
G'day, guys. How you going?
Good,
Because
mate. Welcome back to the show there.
Yeah, well, we realise this is a different perspective of the refinery for most of you. You normally only see the sort of this corner. Yeah, but no, Angus is joining me tonight. We thought we'd get down. I mean, obviously, it's
Finally
unprecedented.
got here. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, it's unprecedented times, mate, and we wanted to sit down and discuss the hearing in detail, and because no one else is discussing it, the fact that it's not even on any mainstream news anymore, right? I think it lasted a day, maybe, and that in itself proves something. However, yeah, it's awesome to be back, mate. We've got someone else with us. I think Alex is joining us too, mate.
Yeah. But those who aren't familiar with Triff and Unlocking the Code there, Angus is usually a little bit of a co-host for his show there. So yeah, we haven't had him on the show yet, so he's a bit of a first timey here as well. And then we have
yeah, we're popping your live cherry, aren't we, mate? I didn't realise that.
Yeah. And then we've got Alex here too. One of Triffin's guests on his show. They'll let Triff go and introduce Alex. G'day, Alex.
Hey guys, how you going?
Yeah, Alex came. Actually, Alex is in the latest episode, 208. Everything's connected. We didn't really leave a stone unturned in that episode, did we, bud?
No, we didn't. It was very fun, very interesting.
However, yeah, Alex wanted to come and join us tonight and have a chat about the hearing. And I thought I wanted to organise this, boys, because I think a panel of people is very important to have, because you can get multiple different perspectives. And we've all, look, I mean, I've watched the hearing front to back. Then I watched it sort of in the periphery in the background. And then today I listened to it. Thanks for doing that as well, Anthony, putting the audio up on Spotify, man. That was actually really cool because it allowed me to just check in and out of it.
Yeah, welcome. I'm surprised it's still up there, actually.
And I've got about 10,000 notes, boys. So, I mean, I'm happy to take the lead because I've got pages and pages. Angus knows what I'm like. I got to be in my bonnet, mate. And there's 1, 2, 3. I don't even know how many pages there is. So
he'll probably read one of them.
Yeah.
Do the rest off the top of his dome.
Yeah. I'm sad to say, like, I have not had a chance to go and deep dive into this myself. Like, put notes down or anything. Like work, I've started a new job, and then obviously, juggling that between family and all sorts of stuff. My head just hasn't been in the right space. And just like everyone's been busy, I know, but just have not had a chance to go and really dive into this myself.
Well, it's okay, fellas, because I did it for us, and I think we've all watched it at least once. And I'll take the lead, I think. Yep. And obviously, I'm really interested to hear from the people out there with the questions. I don't want to structure it, but what I wanted to start with, boys, because I want to get the negative stuff out of the way first, right? Because there's the classic. Actually, what I wanted to do is I wanted to start it with a Hilltop Hoods lyrics quote. Right.
Oh, nice. But hang on, sorry, mate. Before we get into your tangent there, I just want to let Alex introduce himself a little bit there so people can get a bit of an idea who he is.
He doesn't.
If you don't mind.
He's all right.
Doesn't matter? No?
Sorry. I took the reins. I'm sorry.
That's all good. It's all good.
So, Alex, mate, tell us where you're from. What do you do? Tell us a bit about yourself so people know who they're looking at.
Basically. Yeah, so my name's Alex. I live down in the snowy mountains of New South Wales. Been following both your shows for quite a while now, so it's a real honour to be here to chat with you guys. Thank you very much for having me. And look, I sort of got into this topic over the last few years. As I was saying to Triffin the other day, I've had an interest in it, for a little while now, and been listening to your shows for just over a year. But when this topic came up last week, I was like, "Oh, I've got to jump in on this one." And it's UFOs, UAPs, extraterrestrials, all that kind of stuff is very, very interesting to me. I try to sort of keep an open mind over a lot of it, but I thought this opportunity would be great to come and have a chat with you guys and sort of put my $2 worth in as well.
Yeah, no, it's awesome, mate. Look, welcome, mate. It's an absolute pleasure having you here. So, right, mate, Triff, I'll let you go and get on your tangent now, mate. I know you're rearing.
Yeah.
So
I'm chomping. I mean, the thing is, boys, I squeezed this research in today because I started a new part of my job today as well. So it's like, anyway, let's get started. Hello to the Facebook user and Leela and Kurazia Trooper Leclerc. I like that. That's g'day, guys. Don't hesitate to put questions in the chat. I think I'd like to get the feedback from everybody as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think I want to get there's a Hilltop Hoods quote. It's from the song called "An Audience with the Devil." mankind has progressed to a point in its dim-witted history where life has been drained of all its enchantment. And I think there's some power in that statement when we talk about this stuff, because we are very jaded. Me and Anthony have had a conversation about that, how jaded we are by a lot of this stuff. And it's very easy to say that the congressional hearing was disinformation. Why now? Is it the Project Bluebeam? Are they priming us for the next blah blah blah? There you go. There's a verbal.
There's the first one.
There's the first one. I'm gonna get it out of the way. Existential crisis. And look, my answer to that is maybe. However, there was so much that came out of that hearing. For those of us that have been in the rabbit hole as long as, I mean, I've been 10 since I was 10, man. I've been into aliens, and I'm not joking about that. I've got a book up here I bought with my pocket money when I was 12. There's the best part of 30 years. I've been labelled a weirdo for many different things, and one of them was that I believed in UFOs and aliens back in the 90s. There's a lot of stuff. It's unprecedented what happened the other day. Okay. And I mean, do you boys think it's disinformation? We might start here in the refinery. Mr. McDermott, what do you reckon, mate? You?
Oh, like Alex said, we're just all open-minded. I think we've learnt long ago not to get married to any one thing or any one truth. One thought I did have, though, was it was with the congressional hearing, and we've had the government keeping secrets from us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the American government keeping secrets from us. So now we've got the American government asking the American government with witnesses from the American government.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
there is that. There is that.
Can lend itself for you to think,
yeah.
Is this all just another leg on the psyop? Is it, because it's all so far, that's what we've got. You got the Congress, the government, and then these guys are all government employees, be it that they're probably some of our most credible witnesses, though, with their background and the kind of people that get into those positions.
Exactly.
Unfortunately. But I think from just from a face value, you can quite easily go, finding it hard.
Yeah, because we're jaded, man. Because, it's a lot of us in that congressional hearing. I don't think we didn't hear any new information in that hearing, right? I think for those of us that are in the rabbit hole, we didn't hear any new information. However, I've written a heap of dot points down here because I listened to it with a critical ear.
Would you want to, before you go on, do you want to see what the other guys got to say?
Absolutely. So Anthony, where do you stand, mate? Because you call everything. Nothing's a UFO at Encounters Down Under.
Yeah, look, like you said, there's nothing new out of that. If you've been following along pretty closely, then there's nothing new out of it. The biggest thing is I was happy to finally see it was in the actual media, an Australian media, I should say. They actually took it on board and actually run with it a little bit. I would have liked to have seen a bit more involvement from the news and that, and and the other crazy thing is too, still no one gives a flying rat's ass. There's evidence of aliens and shit going on. It's come on.
The internet hasn't disappointed with the reams though. It's the aliens are going to be so disappointed when they come down and go, we want to take your leaders, and we're going to go, yeah, cool, man. Do you want to help? What do you need? Let's get after it.
Yeah, I know. People were sort of expecting to have new information or have some sort of new video going on, or some sort of new sort of what do you call it? Oh, jeez, I'm losing myself now.
New evidence
already.
New evidence.
Thank you. Yeah, that's
documentation. New videos,
all that sort of stuff. But that's not what this was about. This was about these guys admitting that they've been involved in something here that's been hidden away and hasn't really taken any air or any seriousness to the DoD. So this is where the serious part is, because like you're saying, they're fighting between each other now in their own governments, and eventually the truth is going to have to come out. Either these guys are lying, and they're going to have to go to jail for life or whatever, for whatever their bloody justice systems are, all the government's going to have to come out and go, all right, these guys aren't lying, and here's what we have.
I want to get to the Zeta connection because you're totally right, Anthony. But I want to hear what Alex is. What do you reckon, mate? What's your take on it?
I'm much the same as you guys. Like I looked at it, with a critical eye and sort of thought, if we get any new information, great. But we didn't get any. There was just none there. It was all the stuff that we've heard before, and the thing I found most frustrating was that every time one of the senators asked a question, with regard to new information, it was sort of stonewalled by that it's classified, I can't talk about it, sort of thing. And
I'm hating hearing
that's
that.
a pain, and look, I understand from the perspective of, these guys, it was pretty obvious throughout the conversation that they are in, they're fearing for their lives at the moment. David Grush was sort of alluding to the threats and, other things that happened, but, to him and his wife and, how real that was. So from that perspective, I can understand that. But, the thing that annoyed me the most was, where can we talk about this? Oh, we can talk about it in a SCIF. And for those who don't know what a SCIF is, it's a sensitive compartmented information facility, essentially everything behind closed doors. But unfortunately, they couldn't get a SCIF approved to sort of pass on that information. So it was all like,
which is also an interesting fact as well.
Correct.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
and I think, and as I say, somewhere in these 15,000 pages that I did, I did a background check on some of that stuff, right? And just want to say good day to Colleen and Michelle. Matt's joined in. We're going to get to the red rectangle. Don't worry about that. However, the Zeta connection with Paul and Cyan, I like that, right? People are so tired of the financial burden of life, food, energy costs. It's difficult to put ET disclosure stuff at the front, and they're totally right. And that leads into the why now, right? Do they insert that into the lexicon because of that very fact that people are so burdened with just trying to exist post the chaos that we can't talk about Fight Club, that it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things? Or is that a conditioning, right? Because it's one thing to say, why now? So what I've done, because I knew this conversation was coming and I'm like a dog with a bone, I've listened to a few different perspectives. And I actually listened to Weaponized podcast, Jeremy Corbell's podcast with Jordan Knapp. And they did a show the day after the hearing. And they said in there, because George and Jeremy were the background. They are the driving force, a lot of that behind there with Lou Elizondo. And these are all loaded names that I want to come back to, okay? Let's just flow on with the story. Let's just keep moving forward. It hasn't just happened, right? The background on Dave Grush, because he's probably, look, Fravor he's dyed in the wool as you get, right? He is who he is. He was a former commander of the Black Aces. He's as respectable as a witness that you can get, and that's the reason he was added to the argument, because he added weight, right? Same with Ryan Graves. You can't really argue with his credentials and what he has done, right? Grush is the new player,
the cherry on top, basically.
Yeah, but if you listen to Ross and Jeremy and George, that they actually. You're totally right, Fraser. It is a world security issue.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up as well.
Yeah. However, they've been at this for a while. This hasn't just happened, right? And there's been stone walls and blocks at every turn. I can't remember the senator's name, but he was from Tennessee. He had that draw. He said "dadgum" a couple of times. He has been working with Jeremy and George and a few of those other senators, and they've been pushing this for months and months and months. So in the public eye, all of a sudden it's got turned on and it's happened. No, it hasn't just happened. This has been the mechanism of government moves slowly, right? This has not just happened. It's taken months, if not a good year, or since 2021. I mean, that one of the craziest things about the chaos, which we've discussed on lives before, is that they said UFOs are real and no one cared. And because it was in the middle of that chaos, right? But it didn't just happen. I think that's one of the things we need to move past, that it's been in the mechanism to get to that congressional hearing and to get all those senators in the one spot. And also it was bipartisan as well, which is practically impossible in Washington, because I did touch base with some of the UTC correspondents over in the US, and they were impressed that both sides of the floor were at that meeting, right? That can't be understated either. The fact that they don't get along at all in Washington at the moment, but they came together on this issue. So I think let's just, for tonight, is it disinformation, Project Bluebeam, blah, blah, blah? Maybe. Okay. We don't put anything off the table. But I think what we need to speak about tonight is the fact that it is a world security issue. Okay. Because Mr. Levac, who couldn't be with us tonight, but he might chip in a little bit later, he has been trying to get the Australian government to release documentation. I think we did a live with him a little while ago, didn't we, mate?
Yeah.
And he's got some very interesting stuff coming up that I won't break here because it's his baby. However, stuff happens in Australia. I mean, Encounters Down Under, which is an excellent show, and that's the reason we're here and connected tonight, does a valuable service of Aussies reporting their experiences. There's stuff out of Russia, there's stuff out of France, there's stuff out of Spain, there's stuff out of Europe. This has been going on, all right? But the fact that it is now in public record, and I think those that haven't actually listened to it front to back, as I say, it's still up on Encounters Down Under feed, download it and listen to it front to back. Because not only did a lot of those senators didn't ask, they asked preloaded questions initially, but when they came back around, they asked follow-up questions. And you are right, the whole classified is annoying. I agree. However, the fact that they said that there was a giant rectangle that the size of a football field that caused aggressive tactics at the base, the fact that they said they'd intercepted multiple grey or black cubes encased in a clear sphere that could move at Mach 2, right? Whilst that's not new information to us, that is new information to millions, if not
mass populace.
Yeah, if not billions of people in the world, right? So we can't understate the importance of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I just want to point out too, like I've, like Grant Levac, I have also been trying to get hold of local ministers of parliament and stuff like that. You know, sending them emails there, trying to say, hey, look, this is happening now. I even sent them a link there with David Grush's interview with Ross Coulthard, saying, hey, look, this is evidence to back on from. You know, all these hearings have been happening over there regarding the UAP, get them all the information and details so they can sort of, you know, back up what I'm trying to give them. I even put it down as a national security for Australia, you know, and, you know, they even send it off to other people there. Well, wouldn't say the actual members of parliament that I've emailed directly. It's their assistant, you know, they've got the emails first, whether it's and then gets passed on. But even they have even sent it off to other members of parliament there who are more in for the defence sort of areas. But still, yet I've had no response for them either. So I'm now at the point there where I want to go and hit them up again.
I know Grant got a thanks but no thanks. There's nothing to see here from the Air Force. He did get a response. Right. He got an official letter. And that's basically what they said. Thanks but no thanks. There's nothing to see here. We don't look at that or something along those lines.
Yeah, or there was something like they can't discuss that or something. I think it was when they asked
something
about
like
what was that thing they had, the Five Eyes meeting? I think he asked for a reference of what was happened with that, and they said,
have they been briefed?
We can't discuss it here, or there's nothing we can say here, or something like that. So it's a bit of bullshit, really.
Look, and this is the red tape and the bureaucracy. However, I think what's underneath this as well, and they are full of it. This is I think one of the global mistrust of all government, especially after the last 3 years, has accelerated beyond a point where I think none of us have ever seen. Like, we don't.
Speaking of bureaucracy, mate, that was something that was a positive that I took out of the hearing. Was in the prelogue to it. Basically, they were stating that the fact that we want to bring this like to the fore at this point in time because of the general mistrust in the leadership, because so many things have been hidden for so long, and things that, obviously security is of high importance, but then some things that we don't, like the mass populace don't deem to be important. Like, where are what experiences have we had? Because a lot of people out there are witnesses, experiences, that kind of thing, but they're being told they're crazy, and the numbers are just getting too large.
Yeah,
you can't deny
it's overwhelming.
it.
That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, and I think that's, like I said before, the bipartisan aspect to those senators actually being in the same room together, to a lot of American observers, was pretty crazy, and we can't understate that. And I think and again, you listen to those senators and the words that they say, they're like, oh yeah, nothing works in Washington. Don't worry, it's not a surprise. Because we've got to remember too that at the bottom line of this, there has been misinformation, disinformation, people potentially murdered over keeping these secrets for over 80 years, guys, right? So this is a well-oiled machine that has kept this secret at bay. But then we dig into what the UTC research does. There is, there's pictures in the Renaissance with UFOs in the background. There is wall art in Australia here with what looks like UFOs. These things have been spotted and they've been part of our existence for a long, long time. However, we really probably need to stick to the post World War II, Foo Fighters, that sort of stuff, what the Nazis were doing, these sorts of things tonight, because I think that's where the modern disinformation, misinformation campaign that has come from behind the scenes.
Well, not only that, but we're dealing with mainly nuts and bolts craft in terms of the hearing.
Yes.
We're talking about crash craft, captured craft, possible bodies on board.
Yeah. Which,
I don't know. I don't understand anti-gravitational stuff, whether there's a field that might protect the bodies. But I'm thinking, they might be drones, possibly. Who knows? There's so many experiences out there, but this is just the modern sort of stuff. So yeah, it's in the modern era, we're more nuts and bolts. Whereas if you go beyond that into the past, we start to get a little bit more just entity wise.
Well, I mean, I think that a UAP UFO phenomenon, I like that we're sort of stealing Marty Garza's term there. However, I like that because it's not just, and I want to get to the non nuts and bolts stuff later. What I want to stick to,
well, that's what was in the hearing.
That's what I mean. I want to stick to the hearing. Yeah,
they've got two pilots with sightings, and they've got Grush with his story. It's all about nuts and bolts.
It's all about nuts and bolts, physical stuff. And I don't want to deny the phenomenon as we understand it. I want to talk about that a little bit later. But I think what surprises me, and we see it in everything, in all sides of research, and I've seen it over the years here at Unlocking the Code. At the end of the day, it ends up being binary. Right, it's like either the cataclysm was a solar flare or was it rocks from the sky. What if it was both? Right. Same with this. Same with the phenomenon. I am totally on board with the interdimensional other aspect of it. Right. However, the nuts and bolts aspect of it exists.
We haven't answered any of the questions, so let's just start somewhere.
Yeah. It's all the above. You know what I mean?
So, Alex, what's your thoughts on all this so far, mate?
Look, it's, I don't know. I really don't know. Like it's, I've sort of, again, looked at all of the information, I guess try to sort of put together a little bit of a thought about it and a theory about it. But at the end of the day, like you guys have been saying, like there's no one answer. Like there's no, it can go either way. Like it's, I don't know, there's so much going on, like you were saying before, is this disinformation? Is this actually happening? I don't know. There's so much. So yeah,
it's hard to form. So let's stick to the notes, right? Because I wrote some stuff down that I want to expand on. And if we look I want Michelle's comment. How do we all feel knowing they have an agreement to farm some humans? I think that would scare a lot of people if something of that was true.
It's been claimed.
It
has been claimed.
Yep.
Go for it.
Yeah. So something that everyone keeps repeating is like maybe the truth is scarier than what you want it to be, and maybe something like that is the actual case. Let's just hypothesize for a moment. Let's just do what we all do well. Let's just go with it. So it's like, what if we like the sad truth or the scary truth is we're chattel. You know, we just belong to somebody.
Yeah.
What if that's the truth?
Alien
What
ant
if,
farm.
yeah, what if someone governs over us and we're actually, the reason why no one's ever been aggressive towards us is because no one actually takes us seriously. You know, like what if that's the case? What if we are ants that
we're just
people,
monkeys with fire?
That's it, or the ants in the ant farm. It's like, oh yeah, they'll sting you if you get too close, but they're fine.
Don't worry about them.
Don't worry about them.
Don't worry about them.
You know, like what if something like that, like just running with that, what if that could be the case?
Well, I mean, you go back to the Anunnaki, the Sumerian text. There's many different cultures that say that we were either genetically modified or we were a slave race for whatever reason. There's actually more than one culture that does say that. And that could potentially be true. I didn't bring my picture down. I have to find that. However, you know, it is possible, right? I think it's a D or the above there, right? And I want to get so the Zeta connection here. And this is one of the ones I want to talk about. Over many generations, abductees have been told they're crazy. For those abductees who manage to work past the phenomenon and get contact with the beings, I mean, again, we're sharing the stage with Encounters Down Under tonight, and you know, there's hundreds of hours now that Anthony's recorded of people with experiences. There is the other thing that congressional hearing did for a lot of people. There was a lot of justification. You know what I mean? Like we weren't vilification. We weren't crazy. Well, we are probably crazy. However, let's work on the 1% rule. Even if we work on 1% of the hearing is true, it's life changing, right? They literally just told us that we're not alone and UFOs are real, right? And there would be a lot of people with experiences that would feel very vilified. I couldn't help but think about Bob Lazar at some point. I want to talk about him a little bit later.
Well, I was saying the other day, he would be a bit like Graham Hancock, you know, with the
younger guys theory,
with the comet impact theory and stuff like that. He'd be like, "Thank you, finally." But I don't see.
I'm actually surprised Bob Lazar hasn't come out yet. People are saying, like, "Where is he? Why isn't he coming out?" But I think he's had too much attention over the years. He's like, "I don't care now. Like, you guys can go and make your own."
Yeah, he did his part, maybe. You know what I
mean? And if anything that like Joe said about like his experience with him, you know, he really didn't want to like do that interview with Rogan and stuff like that. So maybe he just went a little too hard too soon, you know, like or maybe he was part of.
I think Corbell pushed him as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he was part of the straw that sort of brought it through. He helped bring it a catalyst.
Yeah, he was a catalyst. Yeah, I mean if anyone hasn't
served his purpose.
Yeah. It was. I watched that episode of Joe Rogan, and I also saw a documentary, or the Bob Lazar documentary, and it was pretty clear that he was sort of at the point where he was like, take it or leave it. I've told my story. This is what it is. I'm telling. He says he's telling them the truth, and that was that. So he's
at the fuck it stage. I think
exactly right.
He's been going since 36 years. 36 years since Nat released that first interview with Bob when he was all. Yeah, it's been that long.
I remember seeing documentaries and other things from back in the the early 90s, late 80s. When he first came out with his stories. He was a hell of a lot younger than he is now.
I guess also you could look at it. If you look at it from his perspective, maybe he did the Corbell doco and the Rogan episode to get his media presence out of the way. If anyone wants to know what he has to say,
there's the documentary, there's the podcast.
That's it. Leave me alone. Because maybe Corbell, because obviously they've been working towards this as a goal.
Yeah.
So maybe Corbell was like, look, we do it now, we get it out of the way, and then later on, because Corbell's probably like, because this is ramping up, with whatever he knows. So, I mean, to look at it from that perspective, maybe that could be part of the reason. Who knows? We'll never know.
And look, I mean, your phrase is right as well. There's so much happening around the world. Inserting this into the distraction pool, probably why it hasn't caused a grand rip. I think the thing is, though, what I've seen, I actually thought, boys, there would be a lot more blowback about it, like a lot more podcasts. Oh, it's all bullshit, rah, rah, rah. I haven't seen that much, right? And it's over a week now, and, there's 500,000 podcasts, and I haven't really seen a lot of. So I think on one hand, look, for me, it was there was something very cool about it for me. the fact that it was in the congressional hearing, the fact that it's now on public record. You know, as I say, I've been in this, you know, I used to watch X-Files, man. You know what I mean? I would stay up and I've watched every X-Files.
Used to.
Used to, yeah.
I'm still going
Yeah, I
back
know.
to them.
Yeah, I found them again. Yeah, and Angus told me how to get the X-Files on Disney Plus. And I'm going back, you know, doing a bit of background research. However, you know, it's look, I don't know whether Joe Biden could step up to any plate, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, so we got Colin in the comments here. She's she's asked the question. So Congress hearing, where to from now? Will we have Joe Biden step up to the plate and confess to the USA people that yes, extraterrestrials are real? And when is our government going to jump on board and deliver disclosure for the Australian citizens? My hope is that we all shall know the truth completely with no hidden secrets. Good luck to the no hidden secrets, because that's never going to happen. But not in our lifetime anyway. And that's what we're sort of trying to I was trying to bring up before, like, you know, with regards to the Australian citizens there, and like with the Australian involvement, you know, whether we're going to get that or not is another totally different thing. But I sort of want to question, like, you know, we've had these three blokes come up and talk about, well, you know, they confess their stuff. Where's Lou Elizondo? He's been a big player in this. He's had some, you know, he's got his background there.
Was he in the background? I didn't see.
I don't think he was. No.
Yeah, I didn't see him in the background, because I did pay attention to that, like who was sitting behind those three boys.
It was Corbell and George Knapp.
Corbell and George Knapp, yeah.
Yeah, and there was another guy there as well. There was a few.
But why isn't Lou Elizondo coming up and confessing? Like, to me, I feel like he's a big puncher on this as well.
Well, he was the one who released it all.
Yeah, well, what I
that's
find
right.
interesting.
So why isn't he there going confessing what he knows? You know, like bringing his statements forward.
Because didn't Grush basically work for him? Wasn't he the head of ATIP and Grush worked in ATIP?
Yeah,
something
like that. But one of the little bits of research that I did is it's not just there's Elizondo, so now there's Grush, but there's about 4 or 5 guys that were former heads of these programs that left the programs in order to expose the programs, right? And I wonder, and that's happened sort of since the 60s. There's a number of names that have tried to do that over the years. And again, the 60s is 60 years ago, boys. You know what I mean? So we have been at this, and they've been trying to release it. And look, again, the external threat to humanity. I mean, this is the thing. Are they manufacturing another existential crisis? I mean, Project Bluebeam is literally a holographic alien event in order to, you know, lock us down again, basically. Long story short. And the problem is, and I didn't want to leave Fraser's comment behind, there is so much craziness and chaos going on in the world at the moment, economically, everything, right? But this is... See, what we understand here at UTC is that we are in the Kali Yuga, right? We are in the time of chaos. We are at the end of the cycle, right? In the cycle of the equinox, we are at the top, right? It's about to tick over into the next cycle. This is the time of chaos, right? We are living in prophetic times. I was saying that back in 2021, and no one wanted to listen. But we'll look back. You know, our kids will look back. Whatever's going to happen to humanity is going to happen in the next 5, 10, 15 years, right? This is the time that things are going to go down. And that chaos within the chaos is where information gets released. And look, Stephen, I actually had a guy, the coach, got in touch with me. Oh, have you heard of Stephen Greer? I'm like, oh, so you found Stephen Greer. Is he a fraud? Look, he keeps changing his story to make more money for another book. That's what I'll say about Stephen Greer. And
you're not half of it. This is what it seems like.
The other thing is, I have seen Steve Greer did come out and comment on it, and his comments were that there would be a slow release over the next 6 months. Like, we should know more by the end of the year, come early next year. That was the short clip that I saw from Greer. That was recent.
Matt, I think they're all shills, mate. And this is the problem, okay? I don't know that they're I mean, I don't think David Fravor is a shill. He constantly looks like he doesn't want to be there. And again, it's not... I haven't got a problem with David or Ryan. It's Grush, because he's the ones... I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that.
Well,
I can't tell you that.
Let's just talk for a second though on Grush. So my opinion when I first saw the Coulthard video,
the nations, whatever it is,
that one. I don't know what anyone else's opinion was on that Grush, but he seemed
we'll come back to that
a little bit too scripted, overexcited, like too. I don't know. He just didn't seem genuine to me in that. What did anyone else think, Anthony? Like, what was your opinion of Grush from the Coulthard?
Yeah, what was
video?
your initial opinion of Grush? That's a good question.
Yeah, look, I thought he seemed pretty credible. Like he's like most people when they come forward with sort of stuff, they've got a lot to lose. You know, because obviously over the years, there's still got that stigma attached to it. There's a lot of non-credibility to the whole situation.
On a bullshit meter scale, I mean,
yeah,
like,
where's the Aussie bullshit
watching,
meter? Where's the Aussie bullshit
on
meter?
the screen,
Where are we on the scale?
Yeah, look, I sort of feel like look, I think there is a bit of credibility behind him. Look, I can't really seem to knock him at this point. I think it's still a bit too early to try and knock him. I'm going to take him as he is. So yeah, but I don't think there's a lot of bullshit behind him. No, I don't.
But what I'm getting at is what I saw in the Coulthard video compared to when I saw him in front of Congress. He was a lot more comfortable. That was his place.
Yeah, he's a bureaucrat.
Yeah.
He's a bureaucrat.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He knew the lingo. He had everything on point. Whereas the pilots looked out of place.
Yeah, they're like,
you know, because when they're sitting in front of people like that, they're usually in trouble. You know what I mean? That's a fair point. Or something like that. Whereas Grush is just working the room. You know, he was comfortable. That gave me I felt a little bit easier about him at that stage because I understood where he fit. I was like, I saw him in his natural environment. I guess that's what I was trying to say about the Coulthard video is he didn't seem quite natural. Something felt out of place with that interview, a little too scripted. Whereas, when I saw him in his natural environment, I was like, okay, I get this now. I see where he fits into the puzzle. Was what I was trying to sort of get at. It was just it was just a point that I was like, And another thing, you know, to move into what like around the actual congressional hearing, another thing that I liked was the fact that they were moving away from just purely the national security issue, because obviously that's been hit on for quite a while. And off the back of what Ryan Graves was bringing into it, he's just going he's a
safety officer,
a civilian aeronautical safety problem, because you know we could impact these things or stuff like that, which I think enables some of these senators to get on board and save face. You know what I mean? We're talking about how did we get so many bipartisan people on both sides of the floor. I was just thinking maybe that's possibly one way they could do, because it was like, well, we're not just going down this route with the national security, but we've twisted it a little bit, opened up a little loophole so people can go, look, I'm not worried about our military, about our national security, because we don't want to admit we've got national security issues, but civilian aviation, 100%, I'm worried about some dude flying his Cessna. You know what I mean?
And I think there's I love the interaction, but there's so many questions coming.
It's coming through, isn't it?
However, 5%. Graves said that 5% is only reported. 95% of the sightings aren't reported in a civilian space, and that was his estimation. I think probably have fact checkers. So I was a bit suspicious of Grush as well in his interview with Ross. However, I concur with Angus when I say he was in his element. He had his. Did you just see his paperwork? He was just
he had everything there. Yeah,
ABC dot 1 2 3 times 1 to the power of 10. You know what I mean? He was in his environment. And in the podcast that I listened to, the Weaponized podcast, they had an extended conversation. They basically asked Corbell, Naf, and there was another guy there that I'm not familiar with, what they thought of Grush. And Ross is obviously the guy that interviewed him and has vetted him the last few months. I think why would someone put themselves under that level of pressure is a good comment there as far as Grush is concerned. And yeah, we'll say it wasn't his lawyer. It was somebody else. It was someone else above him.
It's in the comments there. Sean Ryan.
Sean Ryan. And they basically, he look, is Grush on a leash? Yeah, he is.
Absolutely.
And that's one of my issues, that he is on a leash. which goes back to the shield comment earlier. It's like, how much of a leash is that? But I think, again, we can get stuck in the nitty gritty of this stuff. I'm willing at this stage, with Graves and Fravor either side of Grush, I'm willing to roll with it for now. All right. Am I suspicious? I'm always suspicious.
Absolutely.
If your government's involved in, you know what I mean? Very suspicious. I'm still suspicious of Corbell and NAP. However, I think one of the things we need to do as objective researchers now is the fact that this made it to Congress, the fact of things that they said in Congress. Maybe we need to reevaluate our impressions of those three men, of NAP, of Corbell, of, maybe we just need to have another think from another perspective about that stuff. And it's the biggest thing that's ever happened in the UAP UFO phenomenon in the public eye ever. And we can't move past that. Like, that needs to be said. And is it a distraction from Epstein's list and, farms and blah, blah, blah? Probably. At the same time, though, I think, like Angus said, the bipartisan stuff, and a lot of those senators said, we want to do this to try and get some trust back of the people. You know what I mean? We want to, they want to know. There's the evidence is mounting. It's almost insurmountable. As far as honest politicians, I don't believe they exist. However, again, listen to that hearing with a critical ear. And those people were curious. And, I think they were quite shocked at some of the things that they'd heard. Because I think for some of those senators, that was the first time that they'd heard some of that stuff.
I
I
think
was going to make mention too, with the interview with Ross Coulthard there, with the Grush's vibe, he's a bit different. I think for when I listened to the Need to Know from Ross Coulthard and Bryce Zabel.
Bryce Zabel was the other guy that was on today. That was him.
Yep. I'm pretty sure he made mention that they had to go and set up this real secure sort of area for themselves, trying to get there. Everything was really low down, they're trying to make it, this guy's a protected species kind of guy, trying to get him to where he's got to get to. And so obviously Grush is nervous, and that's everyone would naturally be. You're in this big position and you're about to go and point out to the world that some sort of aliens exist or some sort of non-human
we are not alone.
exist. We're not alone. So, which you sort of can sort of understand. This is a big thing that's about to come out, and you're the face of this. So of course he's going to be pretty nervous, and he's not going to be in his element there, talking about this sort of stuff. And he's something that's going to be worldwide. It would be scary. Obviously, you got to be fearing of your own family, like he's mentioned.
And just with regard to the interview, the initial interview with Ross Coulthard was, he seemed nervous. He seemed like, I'm on live television. I'm telling this story. It's going out there. This is it. So I would be nervous too, 100%. But then, as you said, with in the hearing, you were saying yes, he's in his element. That's where he's and all the language he was using is government language. That's the language that they talk in government. So that he's written these things down. He's speaking to them in the way that the senators and these people are going to understand.
Yeah, it's a lexicon. It's a whole different language.
Right. Exactly right. Yeah. So. Look, I'm in two minds still, but I do tend to believe him. I think, watch this space. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Watch this space always. However,
that's right. Yeah,
I'm siding with those boys right now. If for nothing else, that they've really moved the conversation forward. You know what I mean? They've moved it forward.
Yeah. Exactly. So the biggest thing I want to see come out of this is the governments go, yep, all right, look, we do have these things. We do have some sort of technology that is back engineered, flying around. All these people that have been seeing these things aren't crazy. And that's where I want it to be. I want everyone that has seen something strange to be credible for what they've seen.
Yes.
I want all their experiences to be held accountable for all these idiots that go and say, you guys are all crazy because you're seeing these weird things. But the next minute, oh, hang on, this person wasn't crazy. They have actually seen something. So that's where I want this to sort of escalate to say, look, people aren't crazy.
Well, as we know too, there's consistency in a lot of the stories from around the world, isn't there? There's certain types of craft that are seen, the tic tac, the spheres, and the cubes. There's triangles, right? Stars. Yes, there's commonality to some of these things, and as I say, there's got to be. Look, I'll be honest, boys. When I got to the end of that, when I watched it and I got to the end of it, I'll be honest with everybody, I was a little emotional when they said thank you, because again, I actually try to find. I've got a little alien pendant. Right, it's weird the things you keep that I've had since I was 10. You know what I mean? Like I bought it at the Ballarat bloody markets when I was 10 years old. Like that, I've been into this for 30 years, and watching it evolve and seeing that actually happen. I mean, and I think we should talk about a couple of stats. I mean, let's just for a second, credible more than like I can't remember how many eyewitnesses there was, but saw a red rectangle the size of a football field. Just hang on a minute, like an NFL field, I would imagine. So it's that 100 yards by 70 yards or whatever it is. Okay.
Yeah, probably equivalent.
100 yards.
Yeah. Imagine a rugby
square.
field. It'd be a rugby field.
Yeah.
It'd be a rugby field, right? In the air, that approached a base, looked around, like basically did a recon over the base, and then backed away, and then came back instantly too, by the way. Let's just fathom that. And then actually started, having a bit of a crack at some guards and bits and pieces. What are we talking about? You know what I mean? Like there's a giant red rectangle that's having a go at people. You know what I mean? I mean, how do we
just skip past?
How do you just skip past that?
That in itself.
You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like,
and we're all going,
it's just
how's Space Daddy going to fix the cost of living though?
Yeah,
that
right.
doesn't matter. Just for a moment.
Yeah, let's
put
just
aside the cost of living.
What did we start with? Life has been drained of all its enchantment. Let's just have a cool conversation about UFOs. Everyone's struggling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was a giant red rectangle, you know what I mean? Like that had to go at people, and they just brushed past that, right?
But where could you go from that though?
How would you?
Who knows?
But didn't he claim he hadn't seen anything though?
He hasn't.
No,
we're talking about Grush. Grush hasn't seen anything.
No.
himself.
We're talking about Graves.
Oh, Graves.
Graves saw the rectangle.
Graves saw the
rectangle. But didn't Grush even say he saw like some sort of red, pinkish sort of?
Grush hasn't seen anything physically. He's seen photos and documentation.
What was it that he referred to that him and his wife saw?
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I don't know what it. Yeah. There was a few comments that they didn't follow up on. I picked up on that as well.
Was it something along the lines of him and his have?
Well, there was two questions there.
Hang on. Have give me a second. Fuck, you've just
someone been threatened by UAP.
Yes, or harmed.
Or harmed. Yeah.
And his reply was something about him and his wife.
Yeah.
Been there and seen it, or something like that. Or
so I don't know what he was thinking about.
I knew he said something, but it wasn't
physically by people
was
about
him
the UAP.
That was being harmed.
I think it was him that was being threatened. But there was a few things that when I listened back to it, I picked up on that as well. It's like, hang on a minute, did he just say him and his wife were shown something to try and shut them up, or? I don't know.
I'm glad we're all a bit sketchy.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was the same. I was like, is it just me? Is it my memory?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
The only memory I have is when he was referring to being threatened.
Yeah, he said, you're right. He said he and his wife saw something that terrified them. That's true. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So is that?
But yet he says he hasn't seen anything.
No.
So
well, I mean, I think because he's a bureaucrat, he hasn't physically seen anything, but maybe they showed him something. You know what I mean? Maybe it's like they put him in a room and they wheeled out the old videotape machine and put it in there and said,
OHP.
Yeah.
Put a few slides across.
Put slides across it. Yeah. No one followed up on that question when he said that, right?
That's right.
When he said that, no one followed up on that question.
Yep. I was going to say bye to Paul and Cyan there because they're off to Cardwell there, which I'll be seeing them as well. So, guys, enjoy your trip up there. They'll be driving up tonight, I think. Was it Wednesday tonight or was it Thursday? What is it?
Thursday, yeah, because that's over the weekend.
So it starts. It starts next weekend.
Next weekend.
Yep,
Look, I would love to come, but it's 18 hours.
Trip,
that's right. Yeah, it's like it's like 36 hours for me.
Yeah. I mean, where's Cardwell? Oh, it's 18 hours by car.
North of Townsville.
I can't make that happen.
I'm actually going up there next weekend too.
Yeah, you're a bit closer.
Have fun.
But I think have fun, man. I think that'd be.
Yeah,
I would
enjoy it.
love to go.
So honestly, I'm taking advantage of the Bonza flights. You know, it was like $89 to get up there from Rockhampton
to go to
and then
Townsville or something like that.
Townsville, then trip up that way for a couple of hours and then fly back. So I was like, shit, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Jumping on a plane that's got Bonza on the side of it, but that's just
Bonza.
Yeah.
If there was an eye on the end, I'd be a little bit more.
Yeah.
Bonza.
I know that's where I was trying to go. I was trying to go with that. But,
I thought so. I picked up on the
We got it.
point.
We got it.
You picked up on it.
On a resurrection.
We're all from the 90s and the 80s.
Yeah. So what about? I mean, again, let's just not brush off the fact that there's been fleets of black and grey cubes with inside clear spheres that move at over Mach 2, twice the speed of sound. I mean,
let's speculate for a second. You reckon the clear spheres are just part of that tech, so that there's not actually a sphere? Maybe it's
like a shield or something. Like it's
or
is it the anti-gravity
bubble?
Kind of electromagnetic field or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. So is it just presenting that way?
Yeah, in a three-dimensional existence, we see it as a bubble. Whereas I think you're probably right. It is a three-dimensional. An anti-gravitational or electromagnetic field. But I mean, 50 feet is what? That's what, 15 meters. You know what I mean? Like that's how close one of these guys that's how close they. I think they're 50 feet big.
Oh, from them, yes.
Yeah, I mean, they're 50 feet. They're 15 meters by 15 meters, the square, right? But one of those F-18s got within 15 meters of one, right? Like that was
that's a merge plot. That's impact.
That's impact, right? Someone backed out of that. You know what I mean? Whoever's flying the cube backed out of that. You know, and I think the other thing we can't dismiss either is that there was fleets of the Tic Tacs. There's been diamond formation and fleets of these cubes. Right, this is incursion on.
Isn't that one of Ryan Graves' stories?
Yeah,
the fleet. So like you see on like his video or something, you see like a craft, but he's like, but what you don't see is the ones lined up off to the side, sort of thing that we could see.
Yeah. There was a fleet off to the side.
Right, or
no, you're right. No,
you're right. Yeah, you're definitely right.
You're correct. Yeah, you know,
there's all different footage. Like I was watching. It was an episode of Ancient Aliens last night, the latest episode, and it was all about this topic, you know, and all of the footage. And there's new footage that I've never seen before. You know, we talk about the Tic Tacs, the Go Fast, the gimbal. There was another video of one of these things going into the water that I haven't seen before. So, you know, we talk about these, you know, the thing around them. You know, maybe it's something that is used to, you know, bend the gravity or whatever it is around it so they can move at those speeds and things.
Yeah. Look, I do want to get to some anti-gravity stuff. I think Neil has said that before. They are they can pass through matter, these things, whatever they are. Water, stone, it's no difference, because anti-gravity, and you know, we did some really cool episodes about Otis Carr, and I haven't heard from Grubb. I better get back in touch with Grubb. However, anti-gravity tech. Yeah, transmedium. Thank you, Matt. Oh, Matt picked up on it, man. Thank you, brother. I couldn't think of what it was. Transmedium vehicles. Thank you, man. Thanks, dude.
Can we say trans? I still feel like it's a bit. You know.
Don't
open that can of worms, man. Do not.
Don't start. That's sort of
demonetized.
That's it. There you go. Now we're definitely kicked off YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
But what about? I mean, the other thing we need to take into account as Aussies as well is that our F-18 Super Hornets have the upgraded radar, right?
Yep.
They have the same APG-79 or whatever it is radar.
Forget about our fucking Super Hornets. What about our F-35s?
Yeah.
Like,
true.
What
are they got? What are they seeing? Yeah. But I think Grush said that the F-35 is not a good ISR platform. I don't think they can get the data. Like, I think in an F-18, they still run tapes or hard drives. Like, one of the things you do is turning your hard drives at the end of a mission, whereas the F-35 is its own independent platform. But you're right. I mean, what are they seeing? And I think that's, you know, that again, that's what Anthony and Grant have been working towards, as far as from a bureaucracy standpoint here in Australia, is that our pilots have got to be seeing stuff. You know what I mean? Like you would think that they would be, because every other pilots around the world are seeing stuff. Again, you know, it's you get that there's that meme. It's like how the aliens see the world in Hollywood. It's just you know, the Earth in an ocean with America. You know what I mean? It's not there is a lot more countries that are involved with this. You know, the Spanish have got really interesting stuff. Don't think
Let's not forget about Brazil.
Brazil, yeah, Moment of Contact. If anyone hasn't seen Moment of Contact, see it. Pay the $15 on YouTube and see it. It's worth it. Yeah, it's long, but it's worth it.
It is.
Pack a lunch.
Yeah, pack a lunch, and you might do it in a couple of sittings, but and be ready to read some subtitles. However, that story is as true as any of the, more true or as true as the rest of them.
Holds water.
And holds water.
And
like
the fact that across that whole city, like
everybody's got a story.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's a UFO on a pole at the start of the city. You know what I mean? Everyone's got a story, and that was in the 90s, man. You know,
we discussed this last time we were talking about this.
We did, yeah.
We covered
and I think the other thing is too, guys, is that we need to now go back and, like I said, okay, so the I can't remember the town in Brazil where it was, but South America is true. Westall, you know what I mean? Grant Levac did some really valuable work down at Victoria because that's where he's from, at the Westall incident site with those guys. We need to now go back if what Grush, Graves, and Fravor is true, all right, and we're siding with that for tonight, right? Obviously, suspicious minds always open, right? And all these, Roswell is true. The Phoenix Lights, right? All these major experiences that thousands and thousands and thousands of people saw over the years, that then a directed misinformation, distraction was in place to distract from it. I mean, the Phoenix Lights was when they said, "Oh, there's a massive crash, the big triangle lights over Phoenix," and everybody's reporting. And then the next day, the governor turned up, and then some dude turned up dressed as an alien, in an alien suit, and then they all had a big laugh about it, right? But thousands of people saw that, and actually one of those senators mentioned that. He goes, "What about the Phoenix Lights? Can you talk to me about that?" And then Graves said, "I can point you." I actually wrote, he goes, "I can give you a vector on that." I loved his terms because he's like from the Air Force. Like he used all his terms are pretty cool, how he was speaking. But we need to go back now over those big ones, that are probably here's the here it is.
Go back in history books.
There's the aliens book, man. I mean, all the ones that are in here. This is from the 90s. I need to probably reread this. Like, I need a refresher.
Yeah.
Because it's probably true.
And it's like, let's theorize for a minute. What do we think any further release might be like? Do we think they might go back in time? All right, let's start at Roswell. Here's what we got. Here's what we don't have. Here's our story now. It's still going to be an official government story, but it might be closer. There might
Virginia. Thank you, Fraser.
Instead of 0% truth, we might get 10, 15, 20%, 25%.
One of the questions I liked in the congressional hearing is like, so how many years can we go back before we can just release the whole lot? Because I think that's a fair question, right? Because
I think it's maybe 50 years before things become unclassified, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then usually things are still redacted.
Yeah,
from
redacted.
Those things
that's right. Yeah,
unclassified.
It's just a big black Sharpie through 95% of it.
And you know what I mean? And or that's it. That's the only parts we can release, but it's released now, guys.
Yeah, but I think that's a fair question. If this stuff is going to be released, can we just go?
Where do we start?
Yeah,
where do we start?
Well, I think Roswell's a good place. It was but the problem is Roswell is if Roswell's true, they do have bodies and have had bodies since the 40s.
Yeah. So from my understanding, I'm pretty sure ATIP is meant to be going back through previous documents to try and bring up some sort of credible investigation.
Rush said I can give you a vector on that. I can, he said I can point you in a direction.
Problem is though, Roswell might be like fucking pyramids. There's been that much time, too much time to get rid of too many documents. There might be giant gaps between dots.
Yeah.
So maybe it's better to start on more recent stuff. Yeah. How much data is left? How much has the water been muddied that they can stir it around and make it even worse? So maybe start on the more recent ones. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just something. Give us something.
Yeah.
Give us something that's credible, at least. Something to really sort of open our eyes up and go, oh, okay, yeah, wow, okay, they do actually have something. Instead of these other stupid videos that are always in infrared, or
I'll tell you what I
just
don't
out
want.
of focus or some crap.
Don't give me something that we haven't already heard about.
Yeah.
Like, don't, because we're all just going to go, oh, well, no one's fucking heard about that. You've just made that completely up off.
Yeah, we need a
completely
reference.
fabricate
We
the
need a
whole story.
reference point to something else.
That's right.
Yeah.
Something that maybe.
Well, but let's do the Phoenix Lights.
Yeah, that there's been research done to background investigative journalism, that kind of thing.
Actually, speaking of recent events, I picked up that on 3 different occasions they mentioned the Chinese spy balloon, and then twice they said, and the 2 UAP shoot downs.
Yeah.
They let that slip.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. So you want some recent stuff? What did the F-22? Because it was F-22s, and that the reality is the only fighter plane we've got in the world that would even have a percent of a chance against something like that is an F-22. They did actually say, right? They did say the UAP shoot down ×2. They said that twice. They mentioned the spy balloon 3 times, and they said that twice. I made a note of that because I wanted to bring it up. That stood out to me because that's one of our first lives, Anthony. So they're shooting down UAPs now. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the question they raised,
the missile.
Yeah, the question they raised was, what did they shoot down with their $1.5 million worth of missiles that they used?
Yeah.
So they want answers for that.
Oh, absolutely. I mentioned it too. Like, why shoot it down with a missile? Why not just throw a couple of bullets into a balloon? It's eventually just going to fall down.
We talked about that. Yeah. Did they? Because they missed with the first
catch it.
Oh, they missed with the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. $100 billion plane, and they missed a balloon.
Yeah. And that caused that massive train crash that caused the oil, whatever it was, to explode.
We can't start.
We're not going to do that.
We can't
No,
do
no.
Listen, man. The reality is food factories burn down, trains crash. It just happens, man. There's nothing. Don't worry about it. Okay?
Nothing suspicious here.
Nothing suspicious.
Move along,
it's all
sir.
good. Yeah. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy, Alex. Just deal with it, dude. What I wanted to mention is that the aggressive tactics that they did speak about, which was a little bit more detailed than I'd heard previously, how one of Graves' stories is that they're on a training mission. They approached an orb, and that's because it was done with an iPhone, or it was done with like a single photo. And the senator asked them, "Why didn't you're in a multi-million-dollar plane? Why didn't you engage video? Why didn't you engage tracking? Why didn't you?" And as soon as they approached this thing, it shut everything down. And then Fravor echoed that as well, that in the Tic Tac incident, that it interfered with their radar comms, it interfered with their communications. So these things, whatever they are, and I like one of the questions they said in the hearing was like, did it interfere with your radar? Yes, it did. Could you have done anything about it if it turned hostile? No. And one of the senators go, well, I think we've got a problem then. It's like, yeah, we've got a problem. We're not crazy. We've been telling you this stuff for years, and they're in our skies. They've been in our skies for a long time. Exactly. It is an act of war, man. If you intentionally jam another craft, like, that is reasonable engagement. You can engage at that start.
What if it was a symptom, though, of being in the vicinity of the craft?
Of the electromagnetic or the anti-gravity field? Yeah, potentially.
Just an idea. Like, what if it didn't actively jam? What if it's just because he got within a certain range, maybe? I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. Like,
I think Graves said when he approached it happened, but Fravor said it was active jamming was the terms that Fravor used.
Yes, but
when he doesn't
understand the tech, how could he make that comment? You know what I mean? Like,
that's
it
true.
might just be his language.
Yeah, that's true.
It come up to him like it seemed like it was active jamming, but maybe it was passive. Maybe it was just because he was there.
Yeah, maybe he was just there. Yeah,
maybe it happened because, if we think about Bob Lazar for a minute and the way in which you've got to tilt the amplifiers to sort of move a craft in a certain way. Maybe the craft was preparing to move in a certain direction, and that's why So more of the field happened to point. I don't know. It's just tossing out possibilities.
Yeah,
that's
all things are possible. This is the whole point,
especially when we understand nothing about any of it.
Oh, we're fully anti-gravity engineers, mate.
It's all magnet.
Just waiting for someone to go and find us to go and build our own UFO in the backyard.
Hey, listen, you give me the resources, I'll give it a crack. I've got Otis Carr's plans. Hey, don't laugh.
Yeah,
Man.
I'm not laughing.
Do you want me I can bring the blueprints. I can bring the blueprints up. Would you like to see them? I've got them.
Yeah, no,
I
I
do.
want it.
I do.
I think I'd go
Let's have a
more so
look.
down like the Jack Parsons route and just try and evoke a spirit in the.
Oh
desert.
yeah, we're gonna do the old Scientology one. We'll just try and bring in
I'll get L. Ron
international-
Hubbard along.
Yeah, bringing a demon out of Joshua's tree somewhere, which they actually did, which is pretty creepy. What the other one that said, there was a question, is like, is the US government currently housing ETs and blah 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 blah? And he goes, I can't discuss this under this thing, but I could discuss it in a closed environment. I don't know if anyone's watching the Samuel L. Jackson Marvel. Right? Is anyone watching that? What's that called again?
Yet, no.
Yeah.
Invasion. That's literally about aliens that can morph into humans, man. Like,
Yep.
I was actually talking, as I say, when some of the American the scroll, that's the one, the scrolls, and yeah, that's what it's about. The fact that we've been hiding, secret invasion. Thanks, man. Yeah. And my wife said, "What are you doing that?" So I'm just watching it for research purposes.
Sometimes life imitates art.
Yeah. Just watching it for research purposes, just picking up some ideas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean,
I was prepping my kids the other day. We went back and watched Men in Black, the first one.
I was going to think we need to watch Independence Day again. You know what I mean?
We did that too.
Yeah,
we did that too.
Yeah.
All of the above.
Yeah, this isn't. We're not watching it. This is research now.
Yeah.
Maybe they've been trying to tell us.
Exactly. I was going to say that, like, through Hollywood.
Since the 70s, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah.
Well,
Stargate, for instance.
Yeah.
That's
Stargate,
just something I wanted to touch on before when we were talking about why now. How did the bipartisanship in Congress come about and stuff like that? And I felt like maybe there's obvious factions within the government, and I feel like the part that wants to keep it a secret or under wraps, who have skin in the game in that regard, maybe they're finally, the paradigm is shifting.
Yeah.
The numbers are shifting, hence why we can get this. Like, I'm looking on the positive side, like, why is this happening, instead of the misinformation side of things. I'm thinking, well, maybe down the positive route. Like we say, it's been going on for a long time, with science fiction movies and stuff like that. But maybe that was a slow release. That was all they could sneak through to the keeper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas now it's been gathering dust. It's been snowballing, and the weight of power is sort of shifting.
Well, I think we got to thank Joe Rogan as well. What do you got to say, Alex?
I was just going to say, there was a movie that got canned a few years ago that was just called Anunnaki. I don't know if you heard about that one, but it got shut down.
Did it?
Really?
Yeah. I just remember seeing something about it. There was a poster that came out that said this movie is in production, and the next thing it comes in, it's shut down.
So they can't tell the story. Yeah.
No, well, I don't know. I think they had something. I think Dan Aykroyd was involved in that one. Could be wrong.
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd's involved in some of this stuff.
He is,
He's in the supernatural.
Oh, he loves aliens.
He loves aliens,
does,
man.
yeah,
Well,
100%.
that's
You can't see it.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
of the light.
It's a little bit glowy. Crystal Skull. Is that an alcoholic?
yes,
Yes.
yeah. It had vodka in it. Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
Did.
it did. Actually, that
Was it
was
out of this world?
That's some
Where
low
were you
hanging
when the
fruit.
marketing was happening?
Yeah, that's some low hanging fruit.
That was good. I
Oh,
liked it though.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Whatever comes straight
Yeah,
off
I
the top
like
of the
it.
dome.
I like it, man. I like it. Yeah, I mean, there's that Moonfall. Me and Alex were talking about on the show that I just released about Moonfall, the Moonfall documentary, because the moon's a bit of a weird thing as well. Seems to be perfectly parked where it needs to be.
A lot of coincidences.
And
Yes.
I mean, I wanted to sort of move into a bit of some of the weird stuff. Is there anything else? I'm just sort of looking through.
Oh, if we're just touching on movies for a second while you look at that.
Mm.
There's another one, Iron Sky.
Yes.
That had a huge Sumerian section in it with like how things came about. I think there was two of them. I think it had like steampunk Nazis in it as well, but and T-Rexes and shit. But like, yeah, there was it was pretty fanciful. But there was a section I remember seeing a clip. It was about 15 minutes long, and was pretty much like Enki and Enlil sort of thing, like that old school sort of setup, which I liked. I was like, oh, and I looked in. That's the only reason I knew the name of the movie, because I was like, what's this? But then I looked into it, and it was only that clip that was really set around that. So it would have been cool. I've actually asked that question. You know, we've done Noah, we've done all the like Christian stuff, we've done ancient Egypt. Like, where's the Sumerian stuff?
Yeah, where's the Sumerian
Give me
stuff?
some Anunnaki stuff.
Well, one of the I don't want to fuel the Anunnaki, the fact that we're a slave race to mine gold. However, down here in Australia, Senator Gerard Rennick just asked a pretty simple question: where is Australia's gold? Because apparently we shipped it to London, which is a good place for gold that belongs to Australia, in the mid-2000s, and no one knows where the gold is. No one knows where the gold is. Where's the gold? Right?
It's classified. I can tell
classified.
you in a skip.
Yeah, I could tell you in a skip. Yeah, I can't tell you tonight, but I can tell you in a skiff. Yeah,
it's in the Vatican vault.
Oh man, when you
That's the new Library of Alexandria.
that is the new library.
Yes,
of Alexandria.
that's right.
It really is.
Yeah,
It
someone
really is.
we need access before it gets burnt down.
And one of the stats actually I can see here that I didn't mention is that was that guy from Tennessee. I wish I could remember his name. He said "Dad gum" a few times. However, they do an audit on the Pentagon every year, and then they fail it every year. They roughly lose $1 billion every year. I mean, where do you lose $1 billion? Under the couch? Like, you know, you need to look under the chairs here in the refinery. Maybe there's $1 billion under here. And over 60% of the military assets are unaccounted for. How is that even possible? Right? I mean, when, you know, and I think the example that he uses, like if you spend $600 on eBay, if you sell 600 on eBay these days, you get a phone call from the IRS. But the Pentagon can accidentally lose $1 billion every year. And, you know, but going back to Independence Day, it's like, how do they fund this? What, you think every hammer costs 50 grand? Do you think, you know what I mean?
That's what I was going to say, man. I think if you just like extrapolate upon like any government contract here in Australia.
Yeah, exactly.
I can understand how they lose fucking $1 billion.
Yeah,
man.
I know.
It's all in those long smokos and stuff like that.
We were out in the CSG field. There was a few million lost there for sure.
100%.
Atlantis, Clinton. We've mentioned Atlantis. We haven't dedicated anything specifically to Atlantis. However, Atlantis is definitely in the pre-cataclysm picture for sure. I think maybe we need to put a pin in a specific UTC on Atlantis, Azores, that sort of stuff. It's probably time.
Oh, what's he started? Oh dear.
Have we done one? The problem is, Clinton. There's 208 episodes over so many years.
I feel like Atlantis has definitely been in conversations. Whether it's been
a specific
episode.
No, I don't think it's been specific, but we've definitely discussed it. I mean, I side with the fact that the Azores was probably Atlantis, and there's a lot of evidence for that. And I'm not saying that the Eye and the Sahara and all that sort of stuff aren't something. But if we're dealing with an advanced civilization that existed all over the planet, it wouldn't just have been Atlantis as one hub. However, there's even the archaeological stuff coming out of the Azores is very interesting. Don't pull my string like that, Clinton. We're talking about aliens, man.
Atlantis could be aliens. You never know.
Well, they could be, man. And this is the thing. Are we talking about... Actually, Alex gave me a new term.
What are aliens?
Intraterrestrial. Right? So there's ultra, there's extra, and there's intraterrestrial. And is
that like dinosaurs?
It's like dinosaurs. Don't start...
The cerulean hypothesis?
Yes, the dinosaurs.
That kind of thing?
Well, no, Alex, you and Alex need to talk about dinosaurs. Or maybe I should just step out and let Alex and Angus talk about dinosaurs. However, the whistleblower stuff, I know someone said, the American government is $2.3 trillion in debt to the Decepticons. That's true. Well, who else? You know what I mean?
But don't mention COVID, please. We don't need another bill from bloody YouTube. I know we can't talk about that.
But
don't mention COVID.
China buy a lot of.
You just mentioned it twice, you idiot.
Oh, damn it! What am I doing?
Sorry,
I'm out. I'm out again.
Didn't China buy a lot of America's debt? Something along those lines.
Let's not get into world economics. We can't.
No. Can barely put two sentences together.
Yeah, we can't.
Got to clean your room first.
Yeah, clean your. You want to change the world? Clean your room.
Make your bed.
Yeah, exactly. The whistleblower protection stuff is very, very interesting as far as how far does that go, and are they actually going to hold that up? Obviously, Grush is a good example of that. One of the things that came out of the Callbell podcast that I heard today was like how we treat David Grush. We're saying he's credible for the moment. How we treat David Grush will depend on who else comes out. You know what I mean? If we treat,
yeah. If he gets fair treatment,
Yeah,
if he gets
absolutely.
fair treatment,
Yep.
that will then give confidence to other people to come out.
And not only that, I think also like I don't feel like Arrow itself would be enough of a bargaining chip that I'd want to be a whistleblower. The way Grush has done it, the way a lot of people do it is like if you get in the media it's like if I'm not suicidal.
Yeah.
If I double tap myself in the back of the head,
Yeah.
it was a hit.
Yeah.
Hillery's probably onto it.
And I think one of the things that will continue to fuel this disclosure, look, is the humble influence that, Encounters Down Under and UTC have. However, also, I'm surprised, actually, what I am surprised is Joe Rogan hasn't had anybody on recently. I wonder whether or not there's something big coming there.
Waiting.
Oh, I dare say there would be. He wouldn't be taking that lightly.
No, I'm waiting to see what Joe does, because I mean that's another thing too. The biggest media platforms on the planet, realistically, are podcasts. I mean, we worked out last year that the UTC is in the top 5% of podcasts globally, and that is important, right? It's important that these shows happen, and that's why I wanted to push for this tonight, boys, because these discussions move this forward, and I definitely will release the audio. Oh, sorry, hang on. That you missed the point in the $2.3 trillion bill to go. I had it. Yeah, yes. They had 180 days to disclose UFO info. Yeah, and this sort of lends to what Angus is saying. Let's not go with disinformation. Let's go with positivity. Maybe the evidence is mounting because of the independent research and the amount of footage that's coming out now. What if the tide is changing? It's like, hang on a minute, this is real. If it's real, then we need to know about it, because I think what's also pissing the senators off is the fact that they've had billions and trillions of dollars taken from them. If you listen to the senators, they're like, so who's the departments, who's the corporations, how much taxpaying money has been wasted or taken from legitimate projects to fund this stuff and then being held in secret. You know what I mean? So I think there's a side to it. That's right, because America's $214 trillion in debt, aren't they? That's not 2.3 trillion. What is the debt ceiling in America these days, I wonder? I think it was 214 last time I looked.
It depends on if you bomb the Pentagon.
Yeah.
And erase the records.
Yeah. Just, can you stop it?
I hope you're not referring to 9/11.
Yeah, he is referring to 9/11. He is referring to 9/11.
No.
Never said that.
Fortunately, there is an episode on the UTC on 9/11, and I actually did that with the American boys, and I would actually, everyone needs to listen to that. Whatever your perspective is on 9/11, go back in the back catalogue for UTC, download the 9/11 episode, because it was profound, to be perfectly honest. Yeah.
I'm not on there.
No, Angus isn't there.
Yeah.
So just in case, yeah. Let's hear from the listeners. Do you guys want to discuss anything else about the congressional hearing? Alex, we'll start with you, mate. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up about the hearing?
Yeah, look, there was just one point that was towards the end that I think it was Mr. Ogles, who was one of the, because I made a list of all of the senators and everyone who was there.
What's the Tennessee senator's name? How come you?
I can't remember. I want to say. Hang on a second. I want to say. So Grothman was the chair. There was Mrs. Luna, Burchett, maybe.
Oh, Burchett. That's him. Burchett.
Could have been Burchett. Yeah.
It is Burchett.
So Mr. Ogles at the end made a point of saying that if the further investigation of this and any agencies try to block access to
Yes, the
Congress,
Holman rule.
Holman rule, they'll instigate that. And what that allows amendments, appropriations to legislation that would reduce the salary or specifically fire federal employees or cut specific programs. So that's, positive, I guess.
Yeah, it is positive.
That'd be interesting to see what happens there. But
that's on the public record too. They will enforce the Holman rule if they are blocked again. Because that Burchett, I watched another video with him today, and he's like, people don't have any idea about the what we've been through to try and even get to the congressional hearing. Like, they were denied skiffs, they were denied a room, they were denied this, denied. There was blocks all the way, and they just kept pushing, which I think again lends to what Angus was saying, that there's a faction that is growing and beginning to maybe outweigh the other faction because the people are behind it as well, right? And maybe there is some politicians out there still that are for the people. I live in hope, however, I'm not sure.
You just hope.
I just hope,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Mm.
So is there anything else you wanted to mention there, mate? Or
No, that was it for me. It's all good. Yep.
So now I'm not sure if you guys have kept up a little bit there. I sort of missed it the other day. I didn't get a chance to have a good read of it. Now, Kirkpatrick, who, as you know, Sean Kirkpatrick is the head of Aero at the moment, and he has responded to the hearing. He actually wrote a letter.
Did he?
Yes,
I didn't
he's
see it.
very defensive on it, actually.
Is he? Have we got it?
I can try and read it for you if you like. I do have it here. I'll see if I can share the screen up. I'm going to do a little thingy
No
here.
mistakes here, guys. No mistakes.
Oh, don't put the pressure on me. Jeez. All right. I just don't want to share the wrong window, like there might be something on there.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll
Anyway.
look up the history.
All right.
That's super readable.
No,
I'm
getting there. Hang on, I'm going to see if I can try and zoom this in. So hang on, give me a minute, guys. Oh, there's some history. No, hold on.
We'll just move closer.
Yeah, move closer. See, is that working? That's not. Well, does that work?
It's doing something. It's getting smaller. That's great.
How's that
doing a good job.
I'm zooming and it's getting closer. Oh, hang on. How's that one working a bit? Yeah.
What are you doing?
It's
Well,
I
zooming's
it's
not
just-
working.
No, everything's getting smaller though, so it looks
How
like
does that work?
it's
All right, hang on, see if we
zooming,
do like
but
this.
like it's not technically getting bigger.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know what's happening. Oh, look, I'll read it out. Like, I'm sure you can sort of see that a little bit there.
Yeah, that'll do.
So
Can you read it out? Yep.
I'll see how we go. Right, so Sean Kirkpatrick has applied to the recent hearings there. So he says, let me begin by saying that the following are my own personal observations and opinions, which do not necessarily represent official DoD or IC positions. Yesterday, the Subcommittee on National Security of the Border and Foreign Affairs held an open hearing on UAP during which a government cover-up of extraterrestrials was alleged. I wholeheartedly applaud congressional efforts to get to the truth about what UAP are and the risks to both pilot safety and national security. I am also absolutely committed to transparency on both an historical mission and the operational mission. Yeah, yes, yep. Anyway, as the director of Aero's amazingly talented, devoted, and highly motivated team, however, I cannot let yesterday's hearing pass without sharing how insulting it was to the officers of the Department of Defense and intelligence community who chose to join Aero. Many with not unreasonable anxieties about the career risks this would entail, that have been working diligently, tirelessly, and often in the face of harassment and animosity to satisfy their congressional mandate mission. They are truth seekers, as am I, but you certainly would not get that impression from yesterday's hearing. Aero was established by law to investigate the allegations and assertions presented in yesterday's hearing. Allegations by its witnesses of retaliation, to include physical assault and hints of murder, are extraordinarily serious, which is why law enforcement is a critical member of the Aero team, specifically to address and take swift action should anyone come forward with such claims. Yet, contrary to assertions made in the hearing, the central source of those allegations has refused to speak with Aero. Furthermore, some information reportedly provided to Congress has not been provided to Aero, raising additional question about the true commitment to transparency by some congressional elements. The subcommittee, whose question and oversight duties are irreproachable and in genuine need of answers, has never asked Aero for an update on the reporting system, the historical review, the operation, and the S&T strategy that Aero leads and is undertaking. A rational person watching the hearing might reasonably assume that both the witnesses and the members had an understanding of the department and the IC's progress since the establishment of Aero around this time last year, only naturally leading them to conclude that Aero has been ineffective, non-transparent, and delinquently in its legislation mission. Aero briefs the Defence and Intel committees regularly, and since that last NDAA and the Homeland Defence SNT and several other committees as well. I am deeply disappointed at I'm deeply disappointed by the denigration of Aero's dedicated men and women hailing from the Department of Defense, intelligence community, and civil partners who are pouring their hearts out working this issue on the behalf of the Congress. Aero has the authorities and resources necessary to execute this mission to meet congressional intent, and as we've stated before, Aero welcomes anyone with knowledge of any of these allegations or programs to talk to us in a safe, secure, and appropriately cleared environment. Rest assured, Aero will follow the data where it leads. Finally, to be clear, Aero has yet to find any credible evidence to support the allegations of any reverse engineering program for non-human technology. Also, to be clear, none of the whistleblowers from yesterday's hearing ever worked at Aero or was ever a representative to Aero, contrary to the statements made in the testimony in the media.
Ooh, so he's blowing David Grush out of the water. Okay.
That's interesting.
Pretty well. But I don't remember them claiming that they were part of Aero, so I think this is the media's taking that on a walk.
No, Grush was part of Arrow, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure that's what he said.
He was part of ATIP.
He was part of ATIP. But see, this is the thing. Every year they change the bloody name of the program. You know what I mean? So it's like, how do you keep up with it, right? If you go back into how many different programs have been looking into this, it's numerous. You know, and I wanted to be a little bit cheeky and go, do we need a violin there for old mate? You know what I mean? Because he did, you know, it was a little bit whingy. That I don't think, because he wasn't called up in front, and because he already sat in front of Congress and said that they don't have anything.
That's right. So he can't back down from that.
Yeah, he can't back down from that. He said, well, I mean, the thing is, and this is the compartmentalization of this stuff, guys, and that was probably one of the points I didn't get to earlier. The compartmentalization of all this stuff and the different levels, and the smoking guy in the back corner, and old mate over here and old mate over there. And you go back to what Lazar said. It was all compartmentalized. You only got to see this part. You only got to see this part. Sean Kirkpatrick might be, he's probably telling the truth from his perspective, potentially.
That's right.
He may not have seen that evidence. However...
Well, if Grush isn't using Arrow, then...
It's a different evidence pool.
Then Kirkpatrick...
That's where Lil Elizondo needs to come back into it.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's like he is telling the truth. He's like, we don't have anything because no one's approached us because no one trusts us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's another thing too that's been sort of brought up too is, have they been read or given the clearance to be able to investigate further into some of these things, which is a big thing. Like, if you don't have the clearance levels to go and start investigating where you want to be investigating, you're at a brick wall and you can't do anything. It's like
yeah,
so of course they're not going to be seeing any of this stuff.
You reach a security level clearance,
which is also a classic government tactic.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
We'll create the whole thing, the department, but we won't give them the appropriate clearance, so they can't actually find anything.
And I don't know. They did bring up. I think they did bring up the fact that he mentioned that they didn't have anything. Well, they weren't that scathing of Arrow in the congressional hearing. I didn't think. That's why I sort of thought, does he need a bit of a violin? Do we need a box of tissues from Mr. Kirkpatrick? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Look, Arrow isn't a front of mind thing to be talking about in terms of like
what was said in the hearing. No, I wouldn't have said
of
that.
interest
at
all. Had zero attention.
Apart from the fact they mentioned that he said they had nothing. And then Grush said that he asked to brief Kirkpatrick, I think. That's the only other thing that was said about Arrow, and he
did approach him. I remember him saying something. Yeah, Grush did approach him and won nothing.
Yeah,
exactly. So where's that claim from his statement there, saying that no one's approached him? So that's a load of bullshit then again too.
But yeah, it's interesting stuff, guys. I mean, how do you? As I say, it's unprecedented. And again, I think we need to. Yeah. Did you guys want to mention anything else about the hearing? Because I wanted to go back a little bit. I wanted to go back in the past a little bit.
That's right. You find we want to go back to. I just want to mention too, like, we're talking about clearances and that. I'm pretty sure he just mentioned it before when I was reading that. I can't remember I can't find where the phrase was now, but he said that they got clearance to investigate into this. I'm trying to find it now. I wish I could find it now. But I'm pretty sure it said that like they have the, the
Yeah, no,
capabilities. to
is that
research
what
into
you
it.
just recited to us then? He said they have got the clearance to look into it.
Yeah, but then there's
But-
also people saying that he doesn't have the clearance, or there's
Yeah, but
speculation
I
that there's
mean,
no clearance.
top secrets here, Anthony, and then there's
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And which gate are you allowed to go
That's
through?
right.
You know what I mean?
But I'm just trying again, like he's the contradiction in his statement to what's being said otherwise. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, do you want to add anything there, Alex? Or does anyone from the listeners want us to expand on anything from the hearing? I think we've covered it pretty well, boys.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. Resounding yes.
Resounding silence.
Yes.
So what I wanted, again, we need to do a bit of a review, and Gillibrand is letting Kirkpatrick off the hook. It's weird. Look, the conspiracy mind in me tells me, I think someone said it before, Kirkpatrick's a shill, and I maybe concur. I concur with that because there's definitely two sides to this, and one side wants to let just continue to deny. We don't have anything. Apart from the aliens they found in Virginia in 1996. I think I want to talk a little bit about the reverse engineering for a second, because that was one of the big things that came out of the hearing, and we haven't really spoken about that. And then it goes back to Bob Lazar, but it also goes back to, and I think one of the awesome listeners said before, there's over 750 people that have come forward. It's not just those three. I think the three that they want, there you go, that has over 750 witnesses, 2001 National Press Club 2023 this year. Yeah, definitely. So, but there's also disclosure projects happening.
Mate.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Nate. Thanks, Nate. Mate. Nate. Again, it's not just America. We need to keep bringing back that around as well, right? There's people pushing in every major country on the planet to try and get this stuff and what other people have. Let's pretend for a second, because I mean, one of the initial notes that I wrote that I wanted to come back to was that's work stuff. Hang on a minute. Have they figured out the tech? Is this Black Ops craft? So I mean, you mentioned the TR-3B. Okay, so that's a triangular black craft that you can actually get the schematics for online. I'm pretty sure there's stuff written about it. It is a legitimate design. Since 1989, when Lazar came out, I don't imagine they've stopped working on the tech. Have they been able to reverse engineer some sort of anti-gravity technology? One of the things we said years ago here was, I think when Trump created the Space Force, I think I said in the refinery here one night that one day tomorrow we'll wake up and there'll be a fleet of spaceships and helicarriers from the Marvel movies. You know what I mean? And they're just going to say, "Oh yeah, we created the Space Force and all these things have been around." You know what I mean? And it's just going to happen like that. Because I'll put it to you boys, what percentage of these sightings, these sightings that are continually happening, do you think are drones? Do you think are reverse engineered? Do you think are advanced tech, whether it be allies or not allies? We'll start here in the refinery. What do you reckon, man?
Yes, this is where I was going to go back to my critical sort of mind, what are people actually seeing? That's my biggest question. And I always ask them, like, people go, "Oh, look, people are seeing things everywhere now. So many more sightings and reporting of sightings of UFOs," and that. It's like, well, are they understanding what they are seeing? That sort of concept. Like, people are still saying sailings and aliens going across, or you got Venus in the evening sky, or ISS goes over, or a lens flare, for Pete's sake. People aren't understanding. They're not.
For Pete's sake, we've said fuck like 20 times.
Freaking
trying to keep it cheap, PG.
Cheese and biscuits.
Yeah, no point with that now. To back up something that you're saying there, Anthony, I actually had a moment the other day, like maybe a month ago.
That's
where
a
we
good point, Michelle.
where we're situated, the planes that fly into Amberley sort of fly directly from the west towards us.
Yep.
So I see the planes front on a lot, and most of our planes are all like dark grey. So there was one day when this silver like 747 was coming straight towards me, and on a certain angle, I had to stare at it for like 20 seconds until it changed enough angle in the air that I could be like, oh no, that is a plane. Because the jets are facing away from me, so it sounds silent. And the reflections coming off the front of the plane. So it was just this bright reflection in broad daylight. And I'm thinking, what the hell is that? And it appeared, the way the light was reflecting, it appeared like it was hovering. But it wasn't until I waited that it got closer and it slightly changed angle because it was then landing over there, that I was like, oh no, it's not. So if you were driving in a car and you saw that perspective and you only saw it for 5 seconds, 100% you'd think, what is that hovering? It was and it disappears behind a tree or something because you're moving. Whereas I had the benefit of being still and being able to take the time to look at it. But I definitely had a moment where I was like,
oh, you would financially, and that's what I'm seeing a lot of. And I know I bring this up a lot too. Like, people are mistaking a lot of stuff. Like, but it seems like critical analysis from people's understanding of what's around you seem to be going out the window. People are too quick to jump on the, oh, I saw a UFO sort of thing, you know, like, which is great. Like, I'd love for people to be able to see a UFO, but they're not keeping things critical enough in their own heads. They're going sort of like try and some rationalize what they might be seeing. And
my question though is with that is it, and look, I'm not picking on you, Anthony, but I think some of the things you're overly critical. Like, I think there's been some pretty tates on the UFO page where, from my critical eye, I think there's some of the stuff that was spotted in North Queensland that was posted on the page earlier this year. I think that was pretty bloody credible, but everyone's like, no, it's a reflection of a lens flare of a this or that. Is, you know, it's all fucking swamp gas and weather balloons. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a conditioning that because we've been told it's bullshit for so long, maybe there is actually part of a conditioning there where whilst we are all believers here, you got a big UFO hovering over your head, mate. However, it's are we overly critical? Right, like that's why I started with the enchantment. You know,
that's what I was saying last time too. Like, I know I'm overcritical on stuff, and I admit to that. I've been damaged, and from seeing too much shit on social media where people are just jumping.
Don't get me wrong. I remember there was a number 3 balloon. I remember there was a number 3 silver helium balloon that everyone got excited about, and I was like, "Oh, look, that's not." You could actually see that it was a kid's balloon that escaped from a party. You know what I mean?
Speaking about being overly critical, every time I see an iPhone from a plane and there's a possible UFO, but it's going in the opposite direction to the plane, it's like, I'm sorry, but that needs to move.
Yeah,
it needs to move in another direction. Like, it just holds its place.
Yeah, because you're in a plane doing 700 k's an hour. Yeah,
that could be a balloon. I'm sorry, without it moving, it could be anything just floating there, and it seems as though it's moving because you're in a plane moving.
But on the flip side of that, the key characteristic to the Tic Tacs and everything else is the fact that they can stop and then go ding, ding, ding. You know what I mean? So,
but that's what I'm looking for. The dink, dink, dink.
Yeah.
The stopping.
Did it turn 90?
Yeah, did it turn 90? That's right. 90, yeah. Your dick touches of what
the other thing is too, like, people will go on, like, they'll record something.
Everyone gets
but it'll only go for about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then they go, oh, that's my UFO. And it's like, well, what happened to the rest of the whole data behind that? You know, what's the scenario behind? What did you just sit there and watch it for an extra hour and try and figure out what it was behind that? Like, all you get is like, oh yeah, I took a video. This is what happened here and there, blah 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 blah. Yep, all good. And it's like, okay, but what about the rest? You know, like how we got the Tic Tac video footage. Where's the rest of that footage?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my tangent.
But when you edit things down, it leaves everyone to think what happened after that.
Yeah.
Did you edit that down because that's the part that makes it look like a UFO? And then five seconds past where that video ends, it turns and you can see the red and green lights flashing on it, or something, that kind of jazz. It's like, oh, you've got to edit it to make it look good.
The other thing,
that's right.
Can we, just before we go too far, Chris said something cool before about weaponizing. Like, why have we not seen any more of the tech or something? Are we able to scroll back up?
A lot of the stuff we
Is
want
it?
to know these. I want to know they're not telling us because they're trying to be the. Yeah, exactly, absolutely. I think there's definitely a race between the major powers to try and perfect anti-gravity
I
tech
just want to
first.
expand upon that a little bit as well.
Dude.
Like weaponizing, yes, that's definitely
Mhm.
a really good one. But also monetizing.
Mm.
You got to look at where like aeronautics has been for the last, well, since 1903 when the Wright brothers sort of invented the plane off Leonardo's bloody drawings. We went into propeller propulsion with a gasoline engine into jet propulsion, still using fossil fuels. We've got to think about the monetization. If we could have completely skipped the ability for those massive corporations to make all the money that they've made off of those inventions.
Absolutely.
Because let's not forget, prior to 1947, we were already investigating anti-gravitic technology.
Yeah, that's what
Tesla was already looking
finish.
into
That's what I wanted to
anti-gravitic
finish.
technology.
Yeah.
Like in the late 1800s, early 1900s, we're already looking into that space. So what if prior to reverse engineering, our greatest minds are already sort of breaking through? I think Tesla said something along the lines of he was just missing the energy, the motor, the drive, a way to energize the system, sort of thing. But mathematically, he'd worked
already
it
figured
out.
it out. Yeah, and then in like 1920 something, he just wrote in his journal, "I figured it out." Didn't actually say how he figured it out.
Yeah, it was like in a memoir.
It was in a memoir. Yeah,
those lines.
I didn't have the fuel source bill or the energy source, but I figured that out, and he just left it.
Yeah, super vague.
Yeah, but the original question was, what part of do you think is drones or reverse engineering now? Do you think they've reached a level of reverse engineering? They're not sharing it with us, so they can still make money out of their jet fuel?
Yeah, well, my question is, how much needs to be reverse engineering, or is that another faction on top of the factions that already exist?
Could be.
So, because either with our own anti-gravitic research that was happening prior to 1947, the possible first captured craft, the Roswell sort of incident, had we already hit something, or did it die a natural death because no one just got any further? There's two possibilities there. It could have, we either had success and it went quiet, it got compartmentalized, or we didn't have success. So then it would then go on to the reverse engineering stuff, the captured craft. Okay, we've got a little bit further along.
Well, we need to go back to the Nazi Bell now as well.
That's another thing, exactly.
Right.
What did the Nazis find? What tech did they have? Because they're as compartmentalized as anybody else.
Absolutely, they are.
You know what I mean? They were all working off in their own little tangents. So yeah, it's like, what was reverse engineered? What did we come up with? What's out there? What's going to get trickle fed down to us like flat screen TVs? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think, have we exhausted the fossil fuel tech?
Michelle's pretty sure we are watching from our devices, which probably came from reverse engineering. There is that. I mean, liquid crystal displays. How much, if there is a reverse engineering program, how much has trickled down into the modern world? Because we're all old bastards now. We have watched technology. We all used a rotary phone when we were children, right? So we've watched technology, and particularly this type of technology, just accelerate, right? And in an unbelievable fashion. 1897, Aurora, Texas was the first found craft with bodies. I need to know more about that. I don't know enough about that one. Expand, Fraser, in the chat if you can. However, what about you, Alex? What do you think as far as what's
Look, I'm going to say it's probably a bit of a 50-50. If we do have craft and we have reverse engineered them, then yes, they're probably testing them, and they have been for a long time, and they're, changing them, they're evolving, they're making new models, all that kind of stuff. And look, there's a whole bunch of tangents that I could go off into as to why they're not releasing it, or, why they're not talking about it, and it comes down to, money and power and control and whatever else. but look, you know, look, I've seen stuff. I've seen some stuff that I can't explain, you know, in the last few years, and I've had some interesting experiences throughout my life as well. But you know, from that perspective,
you can't just brush over that.
No, I'll come back to it.
Okay, well, we're not finishing the show until you do.
Okay,
Anyway.
cool,
Yeah,
that's fine.
exactly.
So a couple of years ago, like I'm not going to. I'll just say in the last 3 years, you know, I've seen quite a lot of things, you know, that I can't really explain, you know, lights and things. And, you know, the one that stood out the most for me is, you know, I'm watching this, you know, what I thought was a satellite travel across the sky. It stops and goes back the other direction. So no plane does that, you know, and I'm talking about like stop, go back straight away. Like there was no way it was a plane, and it didn't do a turnaround and come back again. It stopped and kept going. So that's probably the one that made me really think about a lot of things. You know, and I've seen a whole bunch of other things as well. You know, as I said, just lights and things traveling in formation across the sky. You know, 2-3 lights at a time that are too big to be a satellite. You know, like I know how big the ISS is, and you know the Hubble and all the other things that you can see in the sky. I've got an app on my phone that tells you where they are.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you check them and they're not there, you're sort of thinking, well, what are they? They're too big to be a rocket body. That, you know, they're all different. I mean, they could be closer. Yeah, exactly. What is it? And it leaves that question open as to, you know, I look at things from a, you know, a balanced perspective, is that I'm not 100% convinced that it's what it, you know, it's a UFO or UAP, but I'm not dismissing that as well. I think that, you know, you need to keep that open mind about it. But with regard to the, you know, whether they're, you know, are they from another world, another dimension, whatever, look, possibly. I think we probably have that happening, but I do also think that we do have reverse engineered craft, and they are testing them. You know, they are seeing what their capabilities are, you know, and you've got to also think as well that someone alluded to it, you know, we don't have the fuel source or the propulsion mechanisms to make them work correctly, you know. And like there was that was it element 115 that Bob Lazar talked about, you know, that's in very, very short supply, if at all, you know. But the other perspective is, you know, you've got fuel companies and energy providers and all these people that are making billions of dollars off their sales, and if this technology comes into the forefront, they lose all their money. So they're probably pushing back very, very hard to stop this stuff from coming forward.
Of course, Of course, I mean, there's the Bendor motor as well that Randall Carlson's been pushing, and he even supposedly went on the JRE, and Joe's never released the episode, and that was supposedly a free energy motor that you could attach to an internal combustion motor that would basically render the battery powered cars, lithium, everything. It's hot. It's over if that motor is actually real. But the Bendel motor was theoretically designed on a motor based on sacred geometry and ancient designs from the past, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, when we talk about the past, you talk about the Vimana Shastra, right? I mean, when we looked into that, you know, those forbidden secrets, that's a flight manual, man. You know what I mean? Like when we read that, it's like someone just found the flight manual, right? That is that's like a pilot's manual you would give to a pilot for them to read before they piloted whatever those Vimanas actually were. You know, and tacking on what Angus was saying too, I think everything like 1929 to 1939, so much happened in that 10-year period prior to World War II as far as research is concerned. I mean, down here in Australia, that's when Australia's Stonehenge was found and surveyed. You know, there was so many things that happened in that 10-year period that by 1945, the victor writes the story, man, right? So all the education that we have in our schools these days, everything is post 1945. That was designed, built, and done after World War II, and the victor writes the story, right? So, you know, I said that to, you know, I said it to Kathy today. I think I'd love to spend time in the National Library just focusing on whatever papers and everything else like that were released in that period, 1929 to 1939. Because after 1945, it no longer mattered because World War II happened. And, you know, you can't discount the Foo Fighters. I mean, this is where this actually all started. It's not Roswell, right? It's the Foo Fighters. You know, they were fighting lights in the sky in World War II in their bombers and stuff like that. Like there's all these incidents where, you know, people are firing on things. And I think there was even like there was a thing where it's not us, it's not us. You know what I mean? Like you stop firing at us. What's the lights in the sky on us? There's all these stories out of World War II. And then obviously the atomic weapons, you know, that's the big thing. These things are reconnaissing, doing reconnaissance on nuclear and military facilities. This is what's happening. There's how many stories about that. But I think I don't mean to, like, one of the coolest episode, one of the coolest few episodes that me and Angus ever did was the Otis Carr stuff. And we did a deep dive on Otis Carr, and
with Grubb as well.
With Grubb was on that as well. And I think that Otis Carr, who was a protege of Nikola Tesla before he died, he took Tesla's blueprints and his information, which is how his blueprints were done. And I don't know, at the end of that, I'm pretty sure, and we still agree that I think Otis Carr built a UFO. You know what I mean? I think he did. And then they stole it. And like the story of Otis Carr is so crazy because no one really knows a lot about it. So that if you want to, as far as anti-gravitic technology and where that started, but the other thing is too with anti-gravity stuff and anti-matter vehicles is up until 1954, I think it is, and Otis Carr was 57, 58, 59, I think. But up until 1954, the next big thing in transportation was anti-gravity. And you can go back and find news articles about it and, you know, the World's Fair. And actually, like, I think they were trying to display something like Howard Stark did in the Marvel movies. That actually happened back then, right? They were trying to show electromagnetic anti-gravitic technology, and they thought it was the next big thing. And then all of a sudden, nothing in the mid-50s. Yeah, look, Randall Carlson is more Randall than you can handle. His voice is a lot, and you can't take him in massive doses. But I'm definitely a student of Randall, and his ability to look at things critically and stuff like that. I side with Randall on a fair amount of things.
While we're talking about JRE guests, let's put Eric Weinstein in there as well.
Yeah, Eric Weinstein. Yep. Yeah,
he seems pretty smart.
Yeah. Yeah, they'd be a bit better than the panel that's been presented to you tonight.
Straight up sophomaniacs.
Yeah, we're just a bunch of sophomaniacs, which is, for those that don't know, that's someone who has the delusion that they're intelligent. And I think, boys, you know, the anti-gravity, this just didn't happen now. For those that are late to the party, this just didn't happen now. This has been going on, anti-gravity investigation. Everything has been going on for a long time, and it's what this hearing did is it brought it into the light for the larger population, regardless whether it's a distraction or whatever it is. It moved the conversation forward in a way that has never been done before, and I think that's where I want to. The positive side of me, the non-conspiratorial side of me, I felt pretty cool about that. I thought it was really awesome that it happened. And there was definitely vilification and justification. And I did actually think about some of the guests that Anthony's had on his awesome show, right? Those people must feel a sense of relief and a sense of, you know, understanding. You know, I think it's, it's very cool, boys. But we're 2 hours in, fellas. I don't know. Do you want to do some closing statements, and we might wrap it up for this evening? I don't know what. Unless you want, because I mean, we could go into dimension, we could go spiritual, but I don't know whether. I think we might have. Maybe we put a pin in that and we come back. Because I'm nearly done. I don't know about you boys.
Well, I've got a bit more to go on to. Now I'm not sure if it was before or a little bit after Ross's interview with Ross.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm pretty sure it was the DoD or Biden might have done or something there. He's put a amendment out there for any companies or personnel that have claimed to have non-human material or technologies or something like that to come forward and present it. I can't remember. I can't find the article for some stupid reason. It's gone missing. But it's I'm hoping you might know, Alex, if or someone in the comments has seen it somewhere. But anyway, there's something there where they're offering people to bring their technology and their material in. Now, I don't know if you watched the second documentary that Ross Coulthard did. I can't remember what he actually called it there, but he had that round metal sphere.
Yeah.
And it was meant to be getting tested from what's that? That brain guy's name? I can't remember what his name is now.
The brain guy.
Yeah, he's a real smart guy, but I think he's like a.
Oh, not Jacques Vallée in his stuff, because Jacques Vallée had technology as well that he was supposedly going to get tested. That was one, because that was the what was the Blink 182 dude? The Pathway to the Stars or whatever the hell it is. Tom
DeLonge and the To the Stars Academy.
They're supposed to have something as well.
Gary Nolan, there he is.
Gary Nolan, thank you. Yep. So yeah, Gary Nolan, he's was meant to be doing tests on it. So where is that information? Like, what's being presented there? Like you mentioned too, like with To the Stars Academy, they claim to have material as well.
Yeah, that was their
where
big
is all
claim.
this?
They were going to bring it all out, and they never did. Yeah.
Yep. So where is all this sort of crap? Like we're getting all these promises, but nothing back from them, or any follow through.
Unfortunately, I think even the people, what's the word? Even the people who are like presenting the stuff that we want to hear, like the George Knapps, the Jeremy Corbells, the Tom DeLonges, they all still want to monetize things.
So absolutely.
They want to trickle release things. There's this part first. They don't want to just drop a boom. There you go. That's everything. No.
You got to get your clicks out of it. You got to get your clicks.
You got to get your clicks. You've got to get your come back next week and we'll have more. Like
cliffhangers. Yeah,
that's it. They got to keep dropping cliffhangers. It's kind of what Grush's like whole. I can't state it here in the public.
I know, isn't it? Yeah,
that's kind of the cliffhanger. What's he saying in private? When will that get released? You know, it keeps you tagging along. So unfortunately,
that's another thing I was going to bring up too. Like, I think it was in Ross's interview as well, where Grush has mentioned that he wants to start up a something, an organization to sort of like investigating deeper into this, or something like. And to me, this all sound like a To the Stars Academy thing there, where it's just a big money grab. And it's like, I really hope he's not going for a money grab on this. Otherwise, if he does that, it takes away all credibility from him.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. The same with Ryan Graves. Like, he's talking about creating a way for people to report without fear of blowback or anything like that. And because I think they were talking about that like pilots were receiving cease and desist orders if they disclosed anything. So he's trying to create that avenue for people to report these things without having any problems. But does that also lend to that? Are we just trying to make money out of that? And same with Stephen Greer and all the other people. Bob Lazar seems to be the only credible one because he hasn't made any money out of it that I'm aware of.
And it's weird because no one believes Bob, but Bob's the only one that hasn't made any money.
Exactly right. Yeah.
It's like he's the only one that hasn't done anything.
And he's the one who kind of info dropped us with the most.
He just went here. This is what I know. Leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Exactly. It seems to be like that, that media driven side of things. Like, I've seen how the internals of, television and things work through a variety of different ways. But, it's always that, we've got to make this work. We'll do it this way, slightly different, so that we get more views and more, credibility and more following and so on. And yeah, like you were saying, that cliffhanger, let's see what happens next week. Let's bring it back. It's, I hate to say it, but I think a lot of it is money driven and media driven. So
definitely feels that way. I don't know why it needs to be.
Well, and like Joe says there, she said she's heard 6 months to a year. But what is that? Is that the start or the
but
finish?
I've heard 6 months to a year for 3 years.
Yeah. Well, that's been Jeremy and George Knapp have been sort of trickling us. Oh, you got to hold on, it's coming. Jacques Vallée, the same thing.
Well, I don't know how many times he said in that podcast I listened to today, we know something that you don't know.
I know. Ross does the same thing too. It's like
we know that you know. I know that you know that you know that I know.
And
that
that's
you
the
know,
trickle feed. That's the cliffhanger. Keep you coming back for more. Pay for that paywall to get to whoever's content we have to get to. Because as they develop their subscribers, like I'll keep dropping this and tell you there's more later until my subscribers get to 1 million and I get that gold plaque or that platinum plaque from YouTube. Then I'll release the next tidbit. And if we get to 50,000 likes, I'll do the next one. It's
I'll get
sad
that, listeners. I know something you don't know, so you make sure you share it and send me money.
That's how it's done, boys. That's why we're not more successful.
I got something to tell you, but I can't tell you.
We're just not tagging people along.
Here we are, just trying to be honest Aussie blokes having honest conversations.
I'll tell you guys off air what I know. All right?
Yeah, behind closed doors. That's right.
We'll go have to meet in a skiff. Yeah.
Yes. 100%. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's just part of our modern society.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame, really. Well, boys, what do you reckon? Who ended there? Well, Alex, you got anything more you want to sort of like add to it, mate?
Yeah, we'll just do a final statement. We'll start with Alex. Yeah.
Look, I think
that's exactly right, Joe. It's classified, can't?
Yeah, I mean, what my question was, where does this go from here? Like obviously talking about the Senate committee and the hearing is that, the senators seem to be generally interested in the information that was being put forward. But the question is, are they going to look further into it? Are they actually going to follow through with what they've said, or are they just going to brush it off and say, we looked at it, but nothing came of it? Because you just never know, whether they're just asking the questions genuinely or are they actually asking it because they've been sort of poked and said, hey, ask these questions and look concerned.
Genuine,
100%. Yeah. But I mean, the other thing too is, and I won't sort of go too much into this, but something that Ross Coulthard pointed out in his report, I know that other thing that you sent me the other day, Triffin, was like there's laws and things that are in place to ensure that this information comes out in a certain way, and that a lot of people are probably shitting bricks at the moment because if this does come out, there's laws that have been broken. There's people that are going to go to jail, and it's going to change the whole system if it's true and if it comes out in a certain way. So I think a lot of people are probably either in panic mode and they're sort of saying no, we'll push back as much as we possibly can. Because they're just afraid of what's going to happen, and it's going to change the whole dynamic. The whole world will change if this comes out. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
No, well said, mate. Well said.
What about you, Angus?
Huh? What?
The final statement.
I just like Tardo 666's name, but I think
the toothpaste
you're right.
Is out of the bottle.
Toothpaste is out of the bottle. There's no going back. We can't unsay what has been said, and it is whether it's for money or not. It's a giant cliffhanger. We're all waiting for what's going to happen, and I think we all know some stuff is going to happen. So I've got my bullshit meter ready. I'm ready to troll through the crap and see what sticks and what doesn't. You know what I mean? So yeah. Look, it's exciting times, and it's a fun story to watch. Yellowstone's finished for this time being, so let's get on to the congressional stuff.
Oh, it's a Hotmail account. Hotmail account. Tardo 666, eh? Wow.
Is that from like
90,
the late 90s?
Yeah.
Gotta be.
I love it. I wish I still had mine.
Yeah.
I've still got mine.
You still got yours?
Of course you do.
I've still got it, yeah.
So are you going last or am I going last? What are we doing?
No, you go, right? You go.
Yeah, look, awesome show, guys. I think, look, there's so many other layers to this that we didn't get to tonight, but I really wanted to just focus on the hearing and the importance of that. Where to from here is very interesting. The ripple effect that it's going to have, I think there's a vast majority of the population, I think one of the guys said just there, it's social media and, shows like tonight, And look, thank you again. I really enjoy these lives. Thank you very much for everybody chipping in and asking questions. It makes it very cool. It's very interactive. So I always really enjoy doing these because of that aspect of it. And I think where to from here? I think something's going to happen. It seems like, as I say, that the horse is out of the barn, the toothpaste out of the tube, the cat's out of the yard, or whatever, you know what I mean, whatever it is. And there's enough. I think there's us old hands that are pretty jaded. However, I think that congressional hearing created a lot of new interest that is going to continue to propel this forward. And I think the old guard that I thought was going to push back over the last week hasn't really, which tells me that they're probably of the same opinion that we are, right? It's like suspicious, yet surprised that they went to the level they went through in the hearing, I think. Yeah, thanks again, man. I really, this was cool, guys. We do this again for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome. Yeah, like you're saying, it's great having the people coming in there, getting the comments there, chatting away, and bringing out the questions that, look, we really appreciate. So, but yeah, for my sort of final thoughts is like my biggest hate on all this is like why. Well, my suspicion is why is America controlling the whole aspect of UFOs and UAP release? For instance, like we mentioned before, like Australia still hasn't gone on board with it. The UK hasn't mentioned anything about it. I think they might have a little bit of a.
Grant Levac said the Five Eyes, they have been read in, but they haven't released anything to their public. So it's not that they haven't been read in. And that I should have pointed that out before too. I think since that hearing, one of the things that Corbell said is that the Congress and those senators know more now than they did then, right? So they've probably seen stuff that we haven't seen already. They might have seen radar or satellite data or something like that. Oh, you would hope so. Yeah.
But still, like, there's not an excuse why Australia, UK, Canada. Well, I know Canada's starting to get on board. They're coming up with a bit of their stuff. Brazil for other reasons, but there's still hundreds of other countries there that could be coming out with releasing some sort of information that they know about. So why is there a stamp on this whole thing where the US is controlling it? And that's my frustration here. Like, you got something to say, Angus? Go for it, man.
Because they're the leaders of the Western Hemisphere. We're all in their shadow.
They are.
We're all on their team, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I know. But you still got China, you got Russia. They could be coming out with on what they know for all of it. Like there's other countries there.
There could have been there could have been a pushback there, but also what has been said, but we're just not getting.
Yeah, we just don't know.
We only see the world through a lens of propaganda from our Western hemisphere. Like it's great having things like TikTok and that made by China, because at least then some crap does get through, but then you still got to hit it with a filter about, because it's still just a social media clip. So but I mean, what is information these days? What do you trust?
1% rule, boys. 1% rule.
That's it. Yeah, like there has been other countries that have sort of mentioned or released some sort of form of information, but also we can't read it because it's not in English. But they have mentioned something, but it didn't get the headlines like we get with Americans.
Well, the congressional hearing didn't get the bloody headlines either. Man.
I know. See, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's my frustration on this whole thing.
BlackRock and Vanguard own the media companies, which own Boeing, which own Lockheed, which own this, which own that, which own the UFOs, boys. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
And they also own the refineries that make the oil that, you know what I mean? That the dinosaur juice, and then around and around we go.
Yeah. And the other frustrating thing is too, like, okay, social media is great for releasing the information, but it's also great for leading disinformation or fake content. So, which is makes it even harder to believe what is real and what's not. Like,
remaining critical and objective is difficult for sure, because you don't know what's real. Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, but otherwise, look, I think it's going to be interesting to find out what's going on. Yeah, man in the bear suit. It's a Yowie suit. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, boys, thank you very much. This was everything I thought it would be. I need to get. I'm got to remind me how to get access to the audio for this, please, Anthony, and I'll release it on my show.
Oh, as well. Fine, I got to do it. I'll wipe your bum again.
Hold his hand.
There's no need for that. And hang on a minute. Just tell the listeners, Anthony's sitting there hosting. Who organised this, by the way, mate? Just out of curiosity.
Alex.
You notice I brought no.
I was just poking. I was just like, come on, guys, hurry up. Let's get this done.
Me and Alex have got notes. What do you boys done? Nothing.
This is the best position on this panel. I just walk in.
Yeah. That's right. I was going to give you a shout out before, but not anymore now. I was like, no, bug you. Nah, look, it has been great, and look, I got to appreciate your efforts there, Triff. Like you did pull my finger out on this one. Yeah, like I did have plans, and like I had to go and argue with the wife there, going like, look, I need to do this. It's been a while. So, But yeah, look, no, I can't appreciate it enough, man. Like you guys have done a great job on tonight's show, bringing up everything that needs to be said. Basically, it's just absolutely fantastic the effort you've gone through, and I wish I could have, held my part in that. I feel a bit ashamed on that.
You did a good job, mate. I'm only stirring.
And I still should have. I still should have. I should have organised myself a bit better. Like I was even going to put a video together, and like the video I was going to put together was like nearly 20 minutes or so. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like I'm not going to have people sitting here for 20 minutes to go and then we go on another 2-hour tangent after this. It's just to be too long. Yeah. But yeah, look, like I said, like you've done well. You've carried the team, mate, and you and Angus there have done absolutely phenomenal. But before we do finish up, look, Alex, where can people contact you if you're open for people to contact you or talk to you about anything in regards to that? Like, are you open to contact?
Not yet. I'm working on it. I'm actually in the process of setting something up so that we can have a little bit more of a I can have a little bit more of a presence in this field as well. So watch this space. I'll definitely let you guys know as soon as I'm ready to go. It's just a matter of logistics and getting everything organised. But look, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you guys for having me here tonight. It's great to be sort of brought into the fold, so to speak. And I really appreciate the opportunity. So it was great to meet you all, I guess, meet you, I should say. Yeah. And hopefully we can sort of talk more and discuss more later on down the track as well.
There's some pyramids down near Alex's place. We've got to go for a drive.
Yes, come and check them out.
Me along. I'll fly.
Yeah, for sure.
Go for a road trip with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Straight up.
Oh yeah. Enjoy. Now look, it's great, man. Great look. So all right, nothing else to sort of add quickly, or we'll finish it right there, right?
No, we're good, boys.
Knock it off.
Thank you very much, guys.
So much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Take care.
Right, I'll do my old little spiel at the end of here, and then I'll get back to you. All right.
Copy that.
Ooh.